In every corner of our planet, long before recorded history, colossal structures were carved, lifted, and assembled with a precision that defies everything we think we know about early humanity. These are the remnants of a world without writing, without kingdoms, yet somehow without limits. Monoliths weighing hundreds of tons aligned with celestial events, underground chambers engineered with impossible acoustics, stone blocks shaped so perfectly they seem fused together, structures no known civilization was capable of building. And still, they stand, silent, unclaimed, unexplained. Tonight, we journey into the heart of Earth's oldest enigmas, the prehistoric megastructures that challenge archaeology, unsettle historians, and ignite a question too big to ignore. How did ancient hands achieve the impossible? Stay with me as we peel back layers of time and step into a realm where myth and evidence collide. This is where the story truly begins, far before history, in the age of the inexplicable. Nestled along the banks of the Nile in what is now modern-day Sudan, the Kerma Deffufa rises like a monument lost in time. From a distance, its massive mud-brick walls cast long shadows across the golden sands, a silhouette both imposing and enigmatic. Unlike the smooth, polished stones of the pyramids further north, the Deffufa is rough-hewn, almost primal. Yet its scale is undeniably sophisticated. One cannot help but pause, imagining the hands that shaped these walls, and the purpose that demanded such effort in an era we scarcely understand. The Western Deffufa, the largest of the structures at Kerma, dominates the ancient city's sacred precinct. Composed of hundreds of thousands of mud bricks, some weighing more than 80 kilograms each, it rises in 3 distinct tiers. Archaeologists have suggested that it served as a temple complex, a place of worship and ritual, linked to the power and spirituality of the Kerma civilization. Surrounding it, evidence of elaborate cemeteries reveals that this was not merely a site of administration or gathering, but a place deeply entwined with the lives and deaths of its people. Yet the more we examine the Western Deffufa, the more questions emerge. How did a civilization existing around 2500 BCE, long before the classical pyramids of Egypt, manage the logistics of moving and assembling such enormous quantities of mud brick with such precision? And why choose this specific site, perched strategically along the Nile, as the center of their religious and political life? Scholars point to practical explanations: proximity to water, fertile land, and the centrality of the Nile as a conduit for trade and communication. But these do not fully account for the sophistication of its design. Inside, the structure grows even more mysterious. Archaeologists have uncovered a network of chambers and passageways, some of which suggest ritualistic use, while others remain unexplored or partially collapsed. The acoustics within certain rooms hint at intentional design, as if ceremonies or chants were meant to resonate through the walls themselves. Could these chambers have served as a sacred theater of sound, a conduit between the living and the divine? Or might they hold secrets of an entirely different kind, lost to millennia of time? Beyond the physicality of the Deffufa, the cultural context adds another layer of intrigue. Kerma was a flourishing kingdom, contemporaneous with Egypt's old kingdom, yet its structures, customs, and funerary practices often diverge from what we consider classical civilization. The Deffufa stands as a statement of power and spirituality, but also as a silent question: what knowledge, what engineering, and what societal structures allowed its creation in an era we often underestimate? Some fringe theories even propose that such architectural prowess implies contact with unknown influences, hypotheses that remain speculative yet compel the imagination. Walking among the remains, one is struck not only by scale but by intent. Every wall, every passageway, every tier of mud brick speaks of deliberate planning and a vision that reached beyond mere survival. The Kerma Deffufa was not built quickly or haphazardly. It was a statement, a message across time that insists upon our attention, even thousands of years later. Yet much of it remains unexcavated, shrouded in layers of sand and history, as if the desert itself is guarding the secrets of the past. And so, the Western Deffufa endures, both magnificent and inscrutable. Scholars continue to piece together its story through painstaking excavation, careful measurement, and comparative study. Still, the full purpose of the structure, the full depth of the society that constructed it, eludes definitive explanation. What drove these people to create such monumental architecture in a harsh and unforgiving landscape? What knowledge did they possess, and what was lost to the sands of time? As we stand in the shadow of its towering walls, these questions linger, inviting us to wonder not only about the Kerma civilization, but about the unseen mysteries that continue to shape our understanding of human history. As the golden light of the late afternoon sweeps across the desert plains of northern Egypt, the silhouette of the Zawyet el-Aryan pyramid rises faintly against the horizon, a skeletal outline, a monument that never reached its intended form. Unlike the towering, symmetrical pyramids of Giza or Saqqara, this structure stands incomplete, its purpose partially obscured by the sands of time and the shadows of centuries. What we see today is a framework of stone blocks and foundations, a whisper of ambition frozen mid-construction, inviting questions that history has yet to answer. The Zawyet el-Aryan site, located strategically between the ancient hubs of Memphis and Giza, was intended as a royal burial complex. Yet the pyramid itself was never finished. The outer casing was never applied. The core remains exposed, revealing enormous limestone blocks, some weighing several tons, arranged with painstaking precision. Archaeologists have speculated that construction may have ceased due to political turmoil, the death of a pharaoh, or shifting priorities of a dynasty that ruled thousands of years ago. But even with such explanations, there is something quietly perplexing about the pyramid. Its sheer scale, the meticulous placement of its stones, and the traces of corridors that hint at an interior designed for purposes we may never fully understand. Approaching the site, one is struck by the surrounding necropolis, a collection of mastabas and smaller tombs that suggest a vibrant, sophisticated community. Workers, artisans, and priests would have labored here, their efforts coordinated with knowledge of geometry and astronomy that modern researchers are only beginning to grasp. Even the orientation of the pyramid, aligned carefully to celestial points, raises questions. Was this alignment purely ceremonial, or did it serve a more profound, perhaps spiritual or scientific purpose? Ancient Egyptians were meticulous observers of the sky, and the possibility that the unfinished pyramid held an astronomical function adds a layer of mystery to an already enigmatic structure. Inside the remnants of its core, the story grows more puzzling. Some corridors hint at chambers that were never completed. Stairways abruptly end, and subterranean tunnels vanish into blocked passages. Inscriptions and cartouches, sparse yet deliberate, provide names and references to rulers of the period, yet offer no insight into why this massive endeavor was abandoned. The unfinished state allows modern eyes a rare glimpse into construction techniques of the time, techniques that, even in an incomplete pyramid, demonstrate extraordinary engineering skill. Each block is fitted with remarkable precision, some seemingly too large to be maneuvered with the tools and methods we assume existed in that era. How were these stones transported and positioned with such accuracy without the benefit of modern machinery? Beyond the practical considerations, the unfinished pyramid evokes deeper questions. Some researchers speculate that Zawyet el-Aryan might have held symbolic significance beyond the earthly realm, a spiritual experiment, a test of architectural principles, or a monument intended to reach both the heavens and the underworld? Could there have been secret chambers or sacred relics planned within its core? Could its abandonment indicate knowledge lost, rituals unfulfilled, or ambitions interrupted by forces we may never fully comprehend? Fringe theories abound, suggesting possibilities that range from hidden technologies to forgotten civilizations, though concrete evidence remains elusive. What is certain is that the pyramid challenges our assumptions about early Egyptian capabilities and intentions. As the wind sweeps sand across the exposed limestone, the unfinished pyramid seems almost alive with questions. Its silence is both haunting and compelling, a monument to human ambition, ingenuity, and perhaps hubris. Walking among its remnants, one can imagine the voices of workers and architects long gone, the vision of a structure that might have rivaled the greatest pyramids had it been completed. And yet, that very incompletion is what makes Zawyet el-Aryan so profoundly mysterious. It exists in a liminal space between aspiration and reality, a bridge between what we know and what remains tantalizingly out of reach. The surrounding desert holds its secrets close. Excavations have revealed artifacts and fragments of reliefs, but many areas remain unexplored or inaccessible, leaving us with only glimpses of what might lie beneath or behind the exposed stone. Each discovery raises new questions rather than answers old ones, hinting at a culture and knowledge system that may have been more complex than we have imagined. Were the builders interrupted by political upheaval, environmental challenges, or shifts in belief systems? Or did the pyramid serve a purpose that we are simply unable to comprehend with our modern perspective? In observing the Zawyet el-Aryan pyramid today, we are confronted not only with the technical brilliance of its creators, but with the enduring enigma of incomplete ambition. It challenges the way we define ancient ingenuity, forcing us to consider the limits of human capability and the possibility that history is full of stories left unfinished, hidden in plain sight. Standing at the base of the exposed limestone tiers, one cannot help but wonder, what truths about this civilization remain buried beneath the sands, waiting to be discovered? What knowledge, lost or hidden, might forever elude us? And as we continue to explore these prehistoric megastructures, Zawyet el-Aryan quietly reminds us that some mysteries are meant not to be solved, but to inspire awe, curiosity, and reflection across the millennia. High in the rugged, sun-scorched hills of northern Ethiopia, the ruins of Yeha rise quietly from the landscape, a testament to a civilization both ancient and enigmatic. The great temple, standing at the heart of this archaeological site, dominates the surroundings with its imposing yet elegant presence. Constructed from massive stone blocks, each meticulously shaped and fitted without mortar, it evokes a sense of precision and intention that seems almost at odds with the tools and technologies believed to have been available at the time. The temple's facade, though weathered by centuries of wind and rain, still hints at a grandeur that must have been awe-inspiring to those who first approached it. Yeha is considered the earliest known urban settlement in Ethiopia, dating back over 2,500 years, and the Great Temple is widely thought to have been a center of worship for the ancient Sabaean or Demat civilization. Its architectural style, marked by towering stone pillars, massive lintels, and carefully aligned blocks, bears a striking resemblance to structures found across the Arabian Peninsula, suggesting a network of influence or trade that extended far beyond the highlands of Ethiopia. Archaeologists have pointed to these connections as evidence of cultural exchange, yet the temple's scale and sophistication still raise questions. How did this early civilization manage to quarry, transport, and assemble stones so massive and perfectly proportioned? And why here, in this remote and mountainous terrain, was such a monumental structure erected? Walking among the ruins today, one is struck by both their permanence and their mystery. The interior, though partially collapsed, hints at an intricate layout, possibly designed for ceremonies or the observance of celestial events. Some scholars propose that the temple's alignment with the sun and stars was intentional, perhaps used to track seasonal changes critical for agriculture or ritual practice. The precision of these alignments suggests not only careful observation over generations, but also a deep understanding of astronomy that seems advanced for the era. Could this have been a center for both religious devotion and scientific knowledge, a place where faith and observation merged? The Great Temple's construction methods continue to fascinate researchers. Unlike later stone buildings, where mortar and modern engineering techniques provide structural stability, the stones of Yeha were fitted with incredible precision, relying solely on their weight and alignment to hold them together. Some blocks weigh several tons, yet evidence of wear and chisel marks shows that ancient workers shaped them with a skill that remains difficult to replicate today. How did they lift these stones into place? How were the blocks transported across uneven terrain without the mechanical advantages we take for granted? These questions linger, unanswered, as the temple endures against the erosion of time. Beyond its physical construction, the Great Temple invites speculation about the society that built it. The surrounding city of Yeha reveals traces of an organized and hierarchical community, with dwellings, public spaces, and storage facilities hinting at a civilization capable of planning and sustaining large-scale projects. Yet, so much remains unknown. Written records from this period are scarce, and those that exist are fragmentary, leaving the rituals, governance, and worldview of the temple's builders largely to the imagination. Some theories suggest that Yeha served as a spiritual hub, drawing pilgrims from distant regions, while others speculate that it was a seat of political power designed to impress and assert authority. Could it have been both? A sacred and administrative center that guided both faith and governance? Even the temple's symbolism continues to intrigue. Carvings and reliefs, though faded, suggest a belief system rich with iconography and ritual. Certain motifs resemble those found across the Red Sea in South Arabia, while others are unique to the Ethiopian highlands. What do these symbols mean? Were they intended to convey religious doctrine, social hierarchy, or perhaps knowledge that has since been lost to history? As we examine the remaining stones, these questions press upon us with a quiet insistence, urging us to look deeper, to consider the possibility that ancient knowledge was far more sophisticated than we often assume. As the sun dips below the horizon and casts long shadows across the temple's weathered stones, a sense of timelessness settles over Yeha. The Great Temple endures as both a monument and a mystery, its silent walls standing as a reminder of human ingenuity and ambition in an era long before modern engineering. While archaeological studies continue to uncover new details, each discovery seems to deepen the enigma rather than resolve it, suggesting that much about this civilization and the purpose of its monumental construction remains hidden beneath the surface. And so, we are left with questions as vast as the highlands themselves. How did the builders of Yeha acquire the knowledge, skill, and organization to create such a structure? What rituals, beliefs, or observations inspired its design? And what secrets of this ancient civilization may still lie buried, waiting for future generations to uncover? The Great Temple stands, unfinished in our understanding, inviting us to wonder, not only about the people who built it, but about the enduring mysteries of human history that continue to elude us, hidden in plain sight among the hills of Ethiopia. Emerging from the wind-swept plains of northern Shanxi province, the remnants of Shimao Stone City rise as a silent testament to a civilization long forgotten. From a distance, the city appears as an intricate network of stone walls, terraces, and towers, sprawling across the landscape in patterns that suggest both careful planning and formidable ambition. Unlike the more familiar cities of early China, Shimao is monumental in scale, its defensive walls extending over 10 kilometers, punctuated by gateways that seem to guard secrets older than recorded history. The site's sheer size and complexity immediately provoke a question. Who could have built such a city, and for what purpose? Shimao's construction dates back more than 4,000 years, placing it in a period where written records in the region are scarce, and historical context is limited. Yet the architectural sophistication is undeniable. Massive stone walls, some composed of blocks weighing several tons, encircle terraces that rise hundreds of meters above the plains. At the heart of the city, towering jade masks and intricately carved stone reliefs hint at ritual or ceremonial significance. These artifacts, meticulously crafted, reveal not only extraordinary skill but a symbolic language whose meaning we can only guess. Were they intended to ward off enemies, honor deities, or signal the city's power to distant observers? Walking through the ruins, one can almost sense the life that once pulsed within these walls. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence of a highly organized society with distinct residential areas, ceremonial spaces, and fortifications. The planning suggests centralized governance and labor capable of coordinating enormous construction projects. Yet despite these clues, much about Shimao remains perplexing. The stones were quarried from distant hills, moved across challenging terrain, and assembled with a precision that modern engineers find astonishing. How did a civilization without the technological advantages we assume necessary for such feats achieve them? And why abandon a city of such scale, leaving behind walls and artifacts that continue to puzzle researchers? The mysteries deepen when examining Shimao's ceremonial aspects. The city's central platform contains terraces and altars that align with the movements of the sun, suggesting astronomical knowledge beyond what might be expected from a society without written records. Scholars have proposed that Shimao served as both a political center and a sacred site, a place where rulers could assert authority while performing rituals to unify or pacify their people. Yet the absence of written documentation leaves room for speculation. Could the terraces have served as observatories, platforms for public ceremonies, or something even more enigmatic? Spaces whose purpose was deliberately concealed from all but a select few. In addition to its ceremonial and defensive aspects, Shimao contains artifacts that defy easy categorization. The discovery of jade objects, elaborate stone carvings, and traces of animal sacrifice suggests a complex belief system intertwined with political authority. Some of the carvings, particularly the large jade masks embedded into walls, have inspired theories ranging from ancestral worship to representations of mythological figures. While mainstream archaeology interprets these as ritualistic symbols, the exact meaning remains unknown. What ideas, beliefs, or fears drove this society to invest so much labor and artistry into their construction? And how did these symbols guide the daily lives of those who lived within the walls? Equally fascinating is the city's sudden disappearance from historical records. Shimao seems to have been abandoned, leaving behind a sprawling stone city devoid of narrative continuity. Was the desert encroachment, political upheaval, or resource depletion the cause? Or does the absence of written records conceal a more complex story, one lost in the millennia? The city's scale suggests it was no minor settlement. It was a hub of population, power, and culture. Yet it vanished, leaving only stones, carvings, and the faint echo of human activity, compelling us to question not only how it was built, but why it was forsaken. Standing among the terraces and walls today, one is struck by a profound sense of time and scale. The city seems to speak in a quiet voice, inviting us to consider the ingenuity of its builders, the sophistication of their society, and the mysteries they left behind. Shimao is more than a collection of ruins. It is a window into a prehistoric world that challenges our assumptions about early civilizations. Every stone, every mask, every alignment of walls suggests knowledge, intent, and ambition that we are only beginning to appreciate. And so, Shimao endures, not merely as an archaeological site, but as a puzzle suspended across millennia. It invites us to ask questions we may never fully answer. How did this civilization coordinate such monumental construction without written records? What cultural, spiritual, or political forces shaped their society? And what secrets, still buried beneath layers of earth and stone, might one day illuminate the true story of a city that seems, even today, to defy comprehension? Beyond the rolling hills and vast plains of southern Ethiopia lies a site that seems, at first glance, almost unremarkable. Yet, as the sun rises and casts long shadows across the landscape, the Tiya megaliths emerge, each standing as a silent sentinel of a civilization whose story is largely lost to time. The stones, some reaching nearly 4 meters in height, are arranged in deliberate patterns across the terrain, a network of monuments that hint at ritual, remembrance, and authority. Walking among them, one cannot help but feel a sense of reverence and curiosity, as if these silent figures have watched over the land for centuries, guarding secrets we have yet to decipher. Tiya is recognized as one of the largest and most enigmatic megalithic sites in Africa. Archaeologists estimate that the stones date back at least 1,000 to 2,000 years, though some suggest that the site may be even older. Each megalith is intricately decorated with symbols, concentric circles, geometric patterns, and enigmatic carvings that seem to speak a language of their own. Mainstream research often interprets these markers as funerary or ritualistic, evidence that the site served as a burial ground or ceremonial center. Indeed, excavations have uncovered human remains beneath or near several of the stones, reinforcing the connection between the megaliths and funerary practices. Yet, as compelling as these explanations are, they fail to account for the uniformity, scale, and precision of the carvings, nor the sheer labor required to erect such stones in a time and place where advanced lifting technologies were not documented. The arrangement of the stones raises further intrigue. Some appear to be aligned along lines that hint at astronomical or calendrical significance, perhaps marking solstices, equinoxes, or other celestial events. Could the builders have possessed sophisticated knowledge of the heavens? And if so, how was this knowledge transmitted and preserved without a written language or codified record? The alignment suggests intentionality, a vision that extended beyond mere commemoration or ritual. It hints at a world view, a conceptual understanding of time, life, and death, encoded into stone. Equally compelling is the variety of symbolism etched into the megaliths. Some stones bear depictions of swords, daggers, or other objects whose meaning is still debated. Are these representations of power, status, or spiritual protection? Could they denote warriors, leaders, or ancestral guardians? Or might they reference events or beliefs now lost to memory, leaving us to wonder whether the carvings reflect history, myth, or a combination of both? As we examine these symbols, it becomes increasingly clear that the Tiya megaliths were more than a cemetery. They were a deliberate statement of cultural identity, a message encoded in stone that has survived centuries of erosion and human change. The scale and effort involved in constructing the megaliths invite even deeper questions. Each stone would have required coordinated labor, careful planning, and significant knowledge of weight distribution and stability. The transportation of these massive blocks across uneven terrain, without the use of modern machinery, suggests an organizational sophistication often underestimated in societies of this era. Were these stones raised through communal effort, ritualized labor, or both? And what motivated such dedication? Was it devotion to ancestors, veneration of celestial cycles, or perhaps a combination of spiritual and societal pressures? The lack of definitive records leaves these questions tantalizingly open. Beyond the practical considerations, the megaliths inspire speculation about the society that created them. Who were these people, and what beliefs shaped their lives? Tiya's proximity to other ancient sites in Ethiopia suggests that the region may have been a hub of prehistoric activity, a place where ideas, rituals, and social hierarchies converged. Yet, despite the archaeological evidence, much of their culture remains enigmatic. Did they belong to a larger network of communities connected through trade or religion? Were the Tiya megaliths a unique expression of local identity, or part of a broader tradition of megalithic construction across Africa and beyond? The mystery deepens when considering what lies beneath or around the stones. While some excavations have revealed burial pits, few have explored the full extent of the site, leaving open the possibility of undiscovered chambers, artifacts, or even hidden alignments. Could there be knowledge embedded in the layout itself, waiting for a method of interpretation we have yet to discover? Every stone, every carving, seems intentionally placed, suggesting a symbolic language whose meaning may never be fully understood. The megaliths are silent, yet they speak volumes, offering hints but withholding full comprehension. Standing among the Tiya stones, one is struck by a profound sense of continuity and timelessness. The megaliths are not merely monuments to the dead. They are markers of a worldview, a statement of human intent and ingenuity that has endured far beyond the lifespan of any individual or community. They remind us that prehistoric societies, often underestimated or dismissed, were capable of extraordinary feats of organization, symbolism, and artistry that continue to challenge our assumptions. As the wind sweeps across the plains and sunlight filters through the carved patterns, the Tiya megaliths endure as both guardians and enigmas. They invite reflection on the nature of human ambition, ritual, and memory. What drove these people to invest such effort and creativity into their monuments? What truths about their lives, beliefs, and knowledge remain hidden, buried beneath the soil and shadowed by time? And as we continue to explore these prehistoric megastructures across the globe, Tiya stands as a reminder that some mysteries are not merely historical curiosities. They are enduring questions, silently inviting us to wonder, imagine, and seek understanding across millennia. Hidden within the rolling plains of southeastern Turkey, Karahan Tepe emerges as a landscape of stones unlike any other. The site, largely concealed by time and sediment, reveals itself slowly, revealing an intricate array of carved pillars, stone circles, and ceremonial platforms. At the heart of this enigmatic complex lies the Pillar Chamber, a remarkable arrangement of towering T-shaped monoliths that rise from the ground like silent sentinels. Weathered by millennia, the stones are etched with abstract symbols and geometric patterns, suggesting a symbolic language whose meaning has long been lost. Observing them today, one cannot help but feel a sense of awe, tempered by the quiet mystery that permeates every corner of the site. Karahan Tepe dates back to the pre-pottery Neolithic period, around 10,000 years ago, making it contemporaneous with Göbekli Tepe, yet distinct in its own architectural identity. The Pillar Chamber, with its carefully arranged monoliths, demonstrates a level of sophistication that challenges our understanding of prehistoric societies. Each stone appears deliberately placed, forming enclosures and spaces that may have guided rituals, gatherings, or ceremonies. The scale and precision suggest that those who constructed Karahan Tepe possessed not only remarkable organizational skills, but also a deep symbolic or spiritual vision, an intent that transcends mere practicality. The T-shaped pillars themselves are enigmatic. Some stand alone, while others are arranged in pairs or clusters, each carved with motifs that seem to carry meaning, though their exact purpose remains elusive. Anthropomorphic features, abstract animals, and geometric forms adorn the surfaces, inviting speculation about the beliefs of the people who erected them. Were these representations of deities, ancestral spirits, or mythic figures? Did the carvings encode knowledge about the natural world, astronomical cycles, or social hierarchies? And if so, how was this knowledge transmitted across generations, in a time before writing? These questions linger, unanswered, as the pillars themselves remain silent witnesses to a forgotten past. One of the most compelling aspects of the pillar chamber is the scale and effort required to construct it. The stones, some weighing several tons, were quarried, transported, and erected without the use of wheels or metal tools. Modern researchers are still puzzled by how Neolithic people, relying primarily on simple implements, could manipulate such massive blocks with such precision. The engineering challenges alone are staggering, yet the builders not only moved the stones, they carved and aligned them in a pattern that hints at ritual, spatial symbolism, or perhaps even astronomical observation. Could these alignments have been intended to mark solstices, celestial events, or cycles of the seasons? Or was their purpose more esoteric, a language of stone understood only by those who participated in the ceremonies conducted within the chamber? Excavations at Karahan Tepe have revealed additional layers of complexity. Smaller enclosures, platforms, and sculpted reliefs suggest a network of spaces designed for collective gatherings, rituals, or initiations. Some archaeologists argue that the site was a focal point of early spiritual life, a place where communities gathered to perform ceremonies that reinforced social cohesion and cultural identity. Others propose that the pillar chamber may have served as a center for knowledge, observation, or even proto-scientific inquiry, with the carvings encoding information about the natural and celestial world. The absence of written records, however, leaves us largely in the realm of speculation, guided only by the enduring material traces that survive in the landscape. Beyond the practical and symbolic considerations, the pillar chamber evokes a profound sense of intentionality. Each stone, each carving, each spatial arrangement seems designed not just for function, but for effect, creating a landscape imbued with meaning, memory, and perhaps even power. The very act of construction, involving coordination, labor, and vision, implies a society capable of remarkable organization, creativity, and foresight. Yet, as we study the site, we are continually confronted by its unanswered questions. Why was Karahan Tepe ultimately abandoned? What social, environmental, or cultural shifts led to its decline? And what knowledge, ritual, or meaning was lost with its desertion? The pillar chamber also invites comparison to other megalithic sites around the world, from Göbekli Tepe to the Tiya stones of Ethiopia, raising broader questions about prehistoric human societies. How did communities separated by vast distances develop the knowledge, skills, and motivation to construct such complex sites? Were these independent innovations, or do they hint at shared ideas, symbolic languages, or even networks of communication that we are only beginning to glimpse? And if such knowledge was once widespread, why has so little of it survived in the archaeological record? Standing amid the towering stones today, one is struck not only by the scale and precision of the pillar chamber, but by its quiet power. The site resists easy interpretation, yet it speaks through the deliberate placement of its pillars, the patterns carved into stone, and the careful alignment of enclosures. It invites us to consider the ambition, intelligence, and creativity of a society that existed long before written history, a civilization capable of monumental achievements that continue to challenge our understanding of the prehistoric world. And so, Karahan Tepe endures, both a monument and a mystery, a testament to human ingenuity, and the enduring questions that arise when we confront the remnants of the distant past. What knowledge, what rituals, and what cultural practices have been lost to time? What inspired the people who labored to shape these stones into the pillar chamber? As we move forward in our exploration of prehistoric megastructures, Karahan Tepe quietly reminds us that some enigmas are not merely archaeological puzzles. They are enduring invitations to wonder, reflect, and imagine the depths of human history that remain just beyond our grasp. On the windswept shores of Rapa Nui, more commonly known as Easter Island, the Vinapu platform rises with a quiet authority. Unlike the iconic Moai statues that dominate the landscape in popular imagination, Vinapu is a masterwork of stone architecture, a platform that hints at the ingenuity and precision of its builders. Its massive stones, tightly fitted without mortar, form walls that have withstood centuries of wind, rain, and seismic activity, testifying to the remarkable skill of a civilization that flourished in relative isolation. Observing it today, one cannot help but marvel at the precision with which the stones interlock, so perfectly that even a knife blade cannot be inserted between them, raising questions about techniques that seem almost beyond the capabilities of pre-modern technology. Vinapu is believed to date from around 1200 to 1600 CE, constructed during the peak of Rapa Nui society. The platform served as a ceremonial foundation for Moai statues, linking it to the spiritual and social life of the islanders. Yet the construction itself suggests a knowledge that transcends simple ceremonial purpose. The enormous basalt stones were quarried from distant sources, transported across uneven terrain, and meticulously positioned in geometric precision. Scholars have long noted that the style of stonework at Vinapu bears a striking resemblance to Incan masonry in South America, with perfectly fitted blocks and angled joints that resist even the smallest movements. How did a remote island society separated by hundreds of miles of ocean from any continental influence develop such advanced techniques? And is this resemblance coincidental, or does it hint at connections lost to history? The platform itself is not merely a base. It is an engineering marvel. Its walls are subtly inclined, designed to withstand earthquakes, and the placement of each stone seems deliberate, taking into account weight distribution, stability, and alignment. Archaeologists have documented that some stones weigh several tons, and yet they were moved with remarkable precision, with no record of wheels, draft animals, or other mechanical aids. How did the Rapa Nui achieve such feats, relying primarily on human labor and rudimentary tools? Could there have been lost techniques, passed down through generations, now forgotten and only visible in the enduring stonework? Adding to the mystery are the ceremonial aspects of Vinapu. The platform was aligned to certain solar and celestial events, suggesting that the Rapa Nui were not only skilled engineers, but also careful observers of the heavens. Could this alignment have been intended to mark solstices, equinoxes, or other significant astronomical events? If so, what knowledge of astronomy did the builders possess, and how did it shape the social and spiritual practices of the island? Some researchers speculate that such alignments were linked to agricultural cycles or religious observances, but much remains conjectural. The stones themselves, devoid of inscriptions, offer few direct clues, leaving interpretation largely to the patterns they form and the context of the surrounding landscape. The scale and ambition of Vinapu also raise questions about the society that constructed it. Moving and positioning stones of such size required not only technical skill, but a highly organized workforce and social hierarchy capable of coordinating large-scale labor. What motivated the Rapa Nui to invest such effort into ceremonial platforms? Was it purely spiritual, a reflection of devotion to ancestors or deities? Or did it also serve as a demonstration of power, status, and social cohesion, a tangible manifestation of authority within the island's communities. The platform's enduring presence suggests that its builders intended to leave a permanent mark, a statement of capability and belief that would transcend generations. Yet, despite centuries of study, many aspects of Ahu Vinapu remain elusive. The techniques used to achieve the flawless stonework, the full significance of the alignments, and the exact methods of transportation and placement of massive stones are still subjects of debate. Some theories propose that ancient knowledge, now lost, allowed the Rapa Nui to manipulate stones in ways that defy conventional explanations. Others suggest that observation, ingenuity, and trial-and-error experimentation alone could account for the construction. Regardless of the interpretation, Ahu Vinapu challenges our assumptions about isolated societies, prompting us to reconsider the limits of human creativity and capability. Standing on the platform today, with the Pacific winds sweeping across the island, one is struck by a sense of both permanence and mystery. The stones, perfectly interlocked, speak of deliberate intent, careful planning, and cultural vision. They tell a story of a people who understood their environment, mastered complex engineering, and imbued their creations with meaning that reached beyond the material. Yet, for all we can observe and measure, the full story of Ahu Vinapu remains just out of reach. What techniques allowed these stones to be so precisely cut and positioned? What rituals, beliefs, and celestial observations guided their construction? And what other knowledge, lost to time, might have existed among the people of Rapa Nui? Ahu Vinapu endures as both monument and mystery. It reminds us that even in the most remote corners of the world, prehistoric societies could achieve feats that continue to astonish us today. Its precise construction, celestial alignment, and enduring presence invite reflection on the ingenuity, devotion, and vision of its builders. And as we continue our journey across the globe, exploring prehistoric megastructures no civilization could build, Ahu Vinapu stands as a silent but eloquent witness to human creativity and the enduring mysteries that challenge our understanding of the past. High on the arid coastal plains of northern Peru, the site of Cerro Sechín rises like a silent sentinel from the earth. Its sun-baked walls stretch across the landscape, adorned with carvings so vivid and striking that they seem to speak directly from the past. At the heart of this prehistoric site lie the carved wall blocks, a series of massive stones engraved with intricate, often unsettling reliefs depicting human figures, dismembered bodies, and ceremonial scenes. Even today, millennia later, the imagery retains a haunting power, compelling observers to wonder about the intentions and beliefs of the people who created it. The walls are not merely decorative. They are statements, etched in stone with precision and purpose, preserving a story both enigmatic and provocative. Cerro Sechín is believed to date back to around 1600 BCE, making it one of the earliest monumental sites in the Andean region. The carved blocks, some weighing several tons, were arranged to form ceremonial plazas and enclosures, creating a stage upon which rituals, social gatherings, or political displays may have taken place. Scholars interpret the reliefs as depictions of conquest, ritual sacrifice, or ancestral veneration, reflecting a society that was complex, hierarchical, and ritualistically oriented. Yet even with these explanations, the precision and scale of the carvings raise questions. How did the artisans shape and arrange such massive stones without modern tools? What inspired the iconography, and how was it understood by the society that viewed it? The detail and craftsmanship of the wall blocks are extraordinary. Figures are rendered with anatomical accuracy, expressive postures, and a consistency that suggests not only artistic skill, but standardized conventions of representation. Some scholars suggest that the carvings were meant to convey moral or political authority, perhaps warning against rebellion or asserting the power of elite rulers. Others propose that they served a spiritual function, memorializing ancestors or enacting mythological narratives in stone. Yet, as compelling as these interpretations may be, the carvings resist full understanding. The combination of violence, ritual, and symbolism hints at a worldview that is only partially accessible to modern eyes, leaving us to speculate on the meaning behind each severed limb, each carefully delineated torso. Beyond the imagery itself, the construction of Sechín challenges our assumptions about prehistoric engineering. The wall blocks were quarried from nearby stone, yet the precision with which they were shaped, aligned, and placed suggests a sophisticated knowledge of geometry and structural stability. Some blocks are fitted so tightly that even a thin blade cannot slide between them, and their arrangement within the complex demonstrates foresight in both design and durability. How did a civilization without metal tools, wheels, or written architectural guides achieve such technical mastery? Were there lost techniques, knowledge passed orally or through apprenticeship, that allowed these people to manipulate stone with such extraordinary control? Equally intriguing is the context of the site. Sechín is part of a broader network of early Andean ceremonial centers, yet its carvings are unique in both content and intensity. Nearby sites may feature monumental architecture, but few display such explicit and continuous narrative imagery. Could this indicate a localized cultural or religious tradition, one that emphasized ritualized displays of power and cosmology? Or does it reflect a society grappling with conflict, mortality, and hierarchy in a way that demanded permanent visual expression? The answers remain tantalizingly out of reach, obscured by the erosion of time and the absence of written records. The alignment and placement of the carved blocks also suggest intentionality beyond aesthetics. Some researchers propose that the orientation of the walls corresponds to solar events, seasonal cycles, or even topographical markers, indicating that the builders were attentive not only to human spectators, but to the movements of the heavens and the rhythms of the natural world. Could the walls have functioned as both a ceremonial space and a calendar, tracking the passage of time for agricultural, spiritual, or political purposes? Or were these alignments symbolic, encoding meaning only fully understood by those initiated into the society's rituals? Standing before the carved walls of Sechín today, one is confronted by a profound sense of continuity and enigma. The stones are weathered, yet their presence is commanding, a reminder that human ambition and creativity can endure for millennia. Each block, each carving, each carefully positioned figure represents not only labor and technical skill, but a worldview, a society capable of abstract thought, symbolic representation, and monumental construction. And yet, for all the information these walls convey, much remains hidden. The stories, beliefs, and knowledge of the people who created Sechín are fragmented, partially obscured, leaving us with questions as compelling as the evidence itself. What drove this society to invest so much effort into carving stone with such exacting detail? What ceremonies or social structures demanded this expression of power and ritual? And what might still be buried, hidden beneath layers of earth, sand, or the stone itself, waiting to reveal the fuller story of a civilization that achieved feats of artistry and engineering that continue to challenge our understanding? Sechín stands as a testament to human ingenuity, a place where artistry, ritual, and monumental construction converge, and where the mysteries of prehistoric South America remain alive, silent yet insistent, inviting us to look closer, wonder deeper, and consider the remarkable capabilities of our ancestors. In the remote expanses of the Russian Altai region, amid rugged mountains and rolling steppe, the Goletsy megalithic tomb rises quietly from the earth. Unlike more famous monuments elsewhere, it does not dominate the landscape with grandeur or scale, but its presence is unmistakable. A carefully arranged cluster of massive stones forming a tomb that speaks of human intent, precision, and reverence. The stones, some weighing multiple tons, are fitted together with remarkable care, forming chambers and passages that suggest not only functionality but a sophisticated understanding of structure and design. To stand here is to encounter a civilization whose ambitions are preserved in stone, yet whose story remains largely hidden by time. Dating back over 3,500 years, Goletsy is part of a network of megalithic tombs scattered across southern Siberia. Archaeological investigations reveal that the tomb was used for burial purposes, containing human remains accompanied by artifacts such as tools, pottery, and ornamental objects. These items, while modest in comparison to the scale of the stones, hint at a culture that valued both ritual and permanence. Yet, even with these tangible clues, the site poses more questions than answers. How did a society, presumably without advanced machinery or written records, quarry and transport such enormous stones across difficult terrain? How did they achieve such precision in placement, ensuring stability and longevity that has allowed the tomb to endure millennia of weather and geological activity? The tomb's architecture is striking in its simplicity and sophistication. Unlike later monumental constructions that rely on mortar or concrete, the stones of Goletsy were carefully shaped and positioned, relying on weight, balance, and ingenuity for structural integrity. Some scholars argue that this reflects an advanced understanding of geometry and load distribution, knowledge that seems incongruous for a society often assumed to be prehistoric and technologically limited. What methods did they use? Were these techniques developed locally, passed down through generations, or influenced by cultural exchange with distant peoples? The questions linger, unanswered, hovering over the silent stone chambers like a whisper from the past. Equally compelling is the symbolic dimension of Goletsy. The tomb is not merely a repository for the dead. It is a carefully conceived space, with stone arrangements that may have had ritual significance. Certain stones appear deliberately aligned, possibly in relation to the sun, the stars, or natural landmarks in the surrounding landscape. Could these alignments indicate a spiritual or cosmological framework, a way for the builders to position the dead within a broader understanding of the universe? Some suggest that such tombs may have functioned as ceremonial centers, places where the living engaged with ancestors or deities, integrating social hierarchy, religious belief, and observation of the natural world. The carvings and markings, while sparse, deepen the mystery. Simple incisions, patterns, or grooves are found on some stones, prompting speculation about their meaning. Were they symbolic markers, indicators of lineage, or representations of ritual practices? Or were they functional, aiding in the movement or positioning of these massive stones? Without written records, their purpose remains speculative, yet each mark is a deliberate act, a trace of human intention frozen in stone. The construction of Goletsy also invites reflection on the society that undertook such an endeavor. Coordinating labor, sourcing materials, and designing a durable structure requires organization, planning, and social cohesion. This was not the work of a single individual or small group, but a communal effort, one that likely involved specialized knowledge, ritual oversight, and a shared vision. What cultural, spiritual, or political forces motivated this society to invest such effort in a tomb? Were these monuments symbols of power, expressions of devotion, or instruments of social unity? Or were they all of these things simultaneously, each stone a testament to human ambition and the desire for permanence? Goletsy's location adds another layer of intrigue. Situated in an area with dramatic landscapes and shifting seasons, the tomb's builders had to contend with both environmental challenges and the logistical difficulties of moving massive stones across uneven terrain. Why select this particular site? Was it chosen for its spiritual significance, strategic visibility, or connection to natural landmarks. And what does this tell us about the worldview of the society that erected it? A society capable of long-term planning, symbolic thinking, and the mobilization of labor on a scale we might not expect in prehistoric Siberia. Standing within the tomb's chamber, one is struck by the intimacy of the space juxtaposed against the grandeur of the stones. The megaliths are at once protective and imposing, creating a silent dialogue between the living and the dead, the temporal and the eternal. They invite reflection on the intentions of their builders, on the knowledge and rituals that shaped the construction, and on the cultural values that underpinned this labor of devotion. And yet, for all we can see and study, much about Goletsy remains elusive. How were the stones so precisely cut and positioned? What ceremonies were performed here, and what beliefs guided them? What connections, if any, existed between Goletsy and other contemporary megalithic sites across Eurasia? The tomb stands as both evidence of human ingenuity and a reminder of the mysteries that endure, silent but persistent, urging us to explore, question, and imagine the lives of the people who shaped these enduring monuments. Goletsy megalithic tomb, with its massive stones, precise construction, and enigmatic carvings, challenges our understanding of prehistoric societies. It is more than a tomb. It is a monument to human intention, skill, and ambition, a place where the distant past meets the present in silent dialogue. And as we continue our journey through the world's prehistoric megastructures, Goletsy stands as a compelling reminder that some of history's greatest mysteries remain hidden in plain sight, waiting for those who dare to look closer and wonder what might still lie beneath the stone. Nestled in the steppe of southern Russia, the Arkaim circular settlement emerges like a ghostly imprint of a civilization long vanished. From above, the settlement reveals itself as a series of concentric circles, perfectly geometric and precise, a design that immediately distinguishes it from the surrounding landscape. The walls, constructed from compacted earth, rise subtly but deliberately, enclosing narrow pathways, dwellings, and central spaces that hint at social organization, ritual, and planning. To walk among the remnants of Arkaim today is to step into a world where mathematics, architecture, and cosmology converge, where every curve, alignment, and division appears intentional, yet its purpose remains enigmatic. Arkaim is estimated to have been constructed around 2,000 to 4,000 years ago, during the Bronze Age. Archaeologists classify it as a fortified settlement, yet its circular design sets it apart from contemporaneous settlements elsewhere in Eurasia. The geometric precision, the concentric walls, and the radial streets suggest not only engineering skill, but a sophisticated understanding of spatial organization, one that hints at astronomical observation or ritual function. Scholars have noted that some of the gates and avenues align with solar and lunar events, raising the possibility that the settlement was used not only for habitation and defense, but as a ceremonial or calendrical center. Could the builders of Arkaim have been early astronomers, mapping the heavens while shaping the earth? The settlement's construction raises questions about the society that created it. The walls, though made of earth and timber rather than stone, were engineered with care, designed to endure time and the elements. The circular layout implies a communal approach to living, with houses arranged in arcs radiating outward from central spaces. Such organization suggests social cohesion and planning that goes beyond mere practicality. How did this society coordinate labor, resources, and knowledge to construct a settlement of such scale and precision? And what cultural or spiritual imperatives drove them to design a city that is as symbolic in its form as it is functional? Arkaim's alignment with celestial bodies has inspired fascination and debate. Some researchers propose that the placement of its gates corresponds with solstices, lunar cycles, or other astronomical markers, suggesting an understanding of time and cycles that predates written records in the region. Was Arkaim a center for observing the heavens, a place where rituals and daily life were synchronized with cosmic patterns? Or were the alignments symbolic, designed to reflect a worldview that integrated human society with the rhythms of nature and the cosmos? The answers remain elusive, and yet the precision of the design compels us to consider the intellectual and cultural sophistication of its builders. Within the settlement, excavations have revealed dwellings, storage pits, and hearths, evidence of everyday life alongside ceremonial function. The juxtaposition of practical and symbolic structures invites reflection on the values and priorities of the people who lived here. Were the concentric circles intended as a form of social organization, ensuring harmony and hierarchy? Did the central spaces serve as arenas for ritual, governance, or communal gatherings? And how did the inhabitants relate to the land and the sky, the cycles of the seasons, and the broader natural world that surrounded them? The discovery of Arkaim has also prompted comparisons to other prehistoric settlements around the world, from the megalithic circles of Europe to the ceremonial sites of Central Asia. Yet Arkaim remains unique in its circular precision and integration of domestic, defensive, and potentially astronomical functions. Could this represent a convergence of knowledge where observation of nature, architectural skill, and social organization intersected in a single visionary plan? Or was it part of a larger network of knowledge and culture that has largely disappeared, leaving only scattered monuments like Arkaim to hint at its existence? Equally intriguing are the symbolic interpretations that have emerged over time. Some propose that Arkaim served as a spiritual or sacred site, a place where humans could connect with cosmic forces or commune with ancestors. Others suggest it may have been a hub for trade, learning, or technological innovation, a settlement designed to consolidate and transmit knowledge across generations. Whatever the case, the geometric perfection and alignment with celestial events suggest a worldview that integrated daily life with broader patterns of the universe, a perspective both practical and profound. Standing amid the remnants of Arkaim today, the visitor is struck by a sense of order and purpose. The concentric walls, radial streets, and central spaces create a landscape of intentionality, a design that evokes both mystery and admiration. Every stone, every earthwork, and every alignment is a silent message from the past, inviting reflection on the lives, beliefs, and ingenuity of its builders. The settlement endures as evidence of human ambition and sophistication, yet its full story remains just beyond reach. And so, Arkaim continues to provoke questions that challenge our understanding of prehistoric societies. How did a people without written records or advanced technology achieve such architectural and astronomical precision? What beliefs, knowledge, or rituals motivated the design of this circular city? And what connections, cultural or intellectual, might exist between Arkaim and other megalithic or geometric settlements across the ancient world? The settlement stands as both a monument and a mystery, a silent invitation to explore, wonder, and consider the remarkable capabilities of human civilizations long before history was formally recorded. High in the Andean highlands of Bolivia, the Inka Uyo site emerges quietly, shrouded in mist and the vast silence of the plateau. Among rolling hills and dry grasslands, a grid of stone pillars rises from the earth, forming a structure that seems both deliberate and enigmatic. The stone chamber itself, composed of upright stone columns, is arranged in precise alignments, evoking a sense of order and intention that reaches far beyond simple construction. Standing here, one is immediately struck by the weight of human effort preserved in stone, the silent testimony of a civilization whose knowledge and purpose remain partly hidden from modern understanding. Inka Uyo is thought to have been a ceremonial site, possibly associated with burial practices or ancestor worship. The site contains dozens of stone pillars, some reaching several meters in height, arranged in a geometric pattern that suggests planning, foresight, and symbolic intent. Archaeologists have uncovered human remains among the stones, reinforcing the connection to funerary or ritual activities. Yet even with this evidence, much about Inca Uyo defies easy explanation. How were these stones quarried, transported, and positioned with such precision on uneven terrain? And why was this specific layout chosen? Was it purely functional, or did it reflect a deeper cosmological or spiritual understanding? The geometry of the site is remarkable. The pillars appear to follow linear and grid-like patterns, forming pathways and enclosures that imply careful measurement and design. Some researchers have suggested that the layout may correspond to astronomical observations, perhaps aligning with the movements of the sun, moon, or other celestial bodies. Could the builders have been tracking time, seasons, or celestial cycles to guide agricultural, ritual, or societal events? Or might the patterns encode symbolic meaning, a language of stone understood only by those initiated into the sacred practices of Inca Uyo? These questions linger, and the absence of written records leaves us largely to interpretation and conjecture. The construction of Inca Uyo also speaks to the technical skill and social organization of its builders. Moving and erecting massive stone columns would have required coordinated labor, engineering knowledge, and planning on a scale that challenges assumptions about pre-Columbian societies in this region. The stones themselves are meticulously placed, some showing evidence of careful carving and shaping, indicating not only physical effort but intellectual foresight. What knowledge of leverage, force distribution, or spatial design did these people possess, and how was it transmitted across generations without formal documentation? Beyond the technical aspects, the symbolic and cultural dimensions of Inca Uyo are equally compelling. The site seems intentionally designed to create a sense of order, ritual, and connection between the living and the dead. Each pillar, each alignment, and each pathway suggests purpose, a deliberate effort to construct a space where humans could engage with the spiritual or cosmological world. Were these stones markers of status, markers of lineage, or expressions of devotion? Did the patterns themselves encode beliefs, narratives, or ancestral knowledge that has since been lost to time? The answers remain elusive, yet the arrangement and scale of the site invite us to consider the sophistication of its creators. Comparisons with other megalithic sites across the Andes and beyond add further intrigue. Inca Uyo shares characteristics with other ceremonial and stone-built sites, including precise alignments, monumental construction, and ritual significance. Yet it retains a distinct identity, unique in its layout and the density of upright stone pillars. Could this reflect a localized cultural tradition, or might it be part of a broader network of prehistoric knowledge and construction techniques spread across the region? If so, what connections, shared knowledge, or exchanges might have existed between these communities, now lost to time? The site's remote location amplifies the mystery. Nestled on high plains, Inca Uyo would have required significant effort to access, suggesting that its construction held exceptional importance. Why choose this location? Was it sacred, strategically significant, or chosen for its visibility and connection to natural landmarks? How did the environment shape the design, placement, and function of the stone chamber? These considerations point to a society that engaged deeply with its surroundings, blending practical needs with spiritual and symbolic vision. Standing among the stone pillars today, one cannot ignore the sense of presence, of intentionality, that pervades the site. The stones are silent yet communicative, speaking of human ambition, social cohesion, and a worldview that integrated architecture, ritual, and perhaps celestial observation. They remind us that prehistoric societies were capable of extraordinary feats, combining physical labor, intellectual foresight, and spiritual purpose into constructions that endure across millennia. And yet, for all we can observe, much of Inca Uyo remains a puzzle. How precisely were the stones moved and placed? What ceremonies and beliefs guided their arrangement? What knowledge, now lost, allowed these people to construct such an enduring and harmonious space? The site stands as both evidence of human ingenuity and a reminder of the mysteries that continue to elude us. Inka Uyo is more than a stone chamber. It is a monument to a civilization's creativity, vision, and devotion, and an invitation to explore, reflect, and imagine what might still lie hidden within the ancient Andes, waiting to reveal secrets that have endured for thousands of years. High in the verdant foothills of the Bolivian Andes, the Samaipata rock platform emerges from the landscape like a vast sculpted altar to the past. Spread across the surface of a massive granite outcrop, the platform is etched with hundreds of grooves, terraces, and carved channels, forming an intricate pattern whose purpose continues to elude modern understanding. The rock itself dominates the terrain, rising hundreds of meters above the surrounding valleys, commanding a view that stretches across dense forests and rolling hills. Walking along its worn surfaces today, one cannot escape a sense of awe, an impression that this was no ordinary construction, but a deliberate manifestation of human vision, power, and ritual. Samaipata is often associated with the pre-Inca cultures of the region, particularly the Chané and later the Inka, who are believed to have used the site for ceremonial and administrative purposes. Yet the sheer scale and precision of the carved platform suggest that its origins may predate even these civilizations, reaching back to a prehistoric era whose details remain largely lost to history. The terraces, channels, and carved figures appear meticulously planned, demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of both topography and the stone's natural properties. How did the builders conceive such an expansive design, and what knowledge allowed them to execute it with such care and coordination? One of the most striking features of Samaipata is the complexity of its carvings. From geometric shapes to representations of animals and possibly celestial symbols, the patterns suggest a symbolic language, now partially deciphered and partially mysterious. Some scholars argue that the carvings functioned as a calendar, a ceremonial site, or a space for ritualized gatherings. Others suggest that they encoded sacred knowledge, astronomical observations, or agricultural cycles. Yet, despite decades of study, no definitive explanation has been established. Could the platform have served multiple purposes simultaneously? A convergence of spirituality, governance, and cosmic observation? The engineering behind the site is equally remarkable. Massive stones were cut and shaped directly into the granite bedrock, forming platforms, steps, and enclosures that have endured centuries of erosion and environmental change. Some channels seem designed to channel water, leading to speculation about ceremonial cleansing rituals or symbolic representations of rivers, veins of life etched into stone. How did a society without metal tools or formal engineering texts accomplish such precise work? Were techniques lost over time, or was this mastery of stone and terrain part of a broader tradition now vanished? Samaipata's location is also telling. Elevated above the surrounding valleys, the platform offers panoramic views of the Andes, a natural stage that could have enhanced the spiritual or symbolic power of ceremonies conducted here. Did the builders choose this site for its visibility, its connection to sacred landscapes, or its proximity to resources and trade routes? And how did the environment shape the cultural practices that unfolded upon this monumental rock? The intersection of geography, geology, and human intention adds a layer of complexity that continues to fascinate researchers. The social and cultural implications of Samaipata are equally compelling. Constructing and maintaining such a site would have required not only skilled labor, but also social organization, leadership, and shared purpose. The effort invested in carving and shaping the rock speaks to a society capable of long-term planning and communal coordination, one with spiritual, political, or cultural imperatives strong enough to mobilize considerable resources. What values, beliefs, or motivations inspired such dedication? Were these spaces designed to unify communities, impress neighboring societies, or bridge the human and spiritual worlds? Comparisons with other megalithic and ceremonial sites in South America, from Tiwanaku to Inka Uyo, suggest that Samaipata may have been part of a larger tradition of monumental construction and ritualized landscapes. Yet its unique combination of massive scale, detailed carving, and integration with natural topography sets it apart. Could it be that prehistoric societies across the Andes possessed knowledge and techniques that allowed them to manipulate stone and terrain with remarkable sophistication? Or did these abilities arise independently, each site a testament to human ingenuity responding to local challenges and spiritual needs? As one moves across the surface of Samaipata, it becomes apparent that the platform is not merely a static artifact, but a space designed to be experienced. The alignment of terraces, the flow of carved channels, and the placement of figures suggest movement, observation, and participation. Walking along these ancient grooves, one can imagine ceremonies performed, rituals enacted, or gatherings held, each moment imbued with meaning that we can only glimpse today. The site invites us to consider the worldview of its builders, a perspective that intertwined daily life, spirituality, and cosmic observation in ways that modern interpretations struggle to fully capture. And yet, for all the study and exploration, the mysteries of Samaipata remain unresolved. How did its builders achieve such monumental precision? What rituals and beliefs guided their work? And what knowledge, astronomical, spiritual, or cultural, was encoded in the very grooves and terraces of the rock? Samaipata stands as both a monument to human creativity and a reminder of the enigmas that endure from prehistoric times. It is a place where stone, landscape, and human ambition converge, inviting reflection, awe, and wonder at the capabilities of a civilization whose full story has been lost to time. In the rolling plains near the modern city of Cusco, Peru, the Wari Pikillaqta complex emerges from the earth with a solemn and commanding presence. Among the remnants of walls, terraces, and ceremonial spaces, one feature captures the imagination more than any other: the megalithic gate. Massive stones, hewn with extraordinary precision, stand upright in a configuration that suggests both architectural mastery and symbolic purpose. Their sheer size and placement create a sense of threshold, a portal not only into the physical space of the settlement, but perhaps into realms of spiritual or cultural significance long obscured by time. To witness it today is to encounter a testament to human ambition and design, and yet the intentions behind it remain shrouded in mystery. Wari Pikillaqta is believed to have been established around the 6th to 10th centuries CE by the Wari culture, a civilization that flourished in the Andean highlands long before the rise of the Inka. The site served as a regional administrative and ceremonial center, yet the scale of the megalithic gate suggests an understanding of stonework and spatial organization that goes beyond practical necessity. Each block is carefully positioned, some weighing several tons, fitted with remarkable accuracy so that they interlock without the need for mortar. How did the Wari achieve such precision with the tools available to them? Was it a product of trial, experience, and human ingenuity alone, or could it reflect knowledge that has since been lost to the ages? The gate itself is not merely structural, it is symbolic. Its imposing vertical stones mark a transition between spaces, guiding movement and attention, perhaps delineating sacred areas or designating spaces reserved for elites or ceremonial purposes. Archaeologists have noted alignments that correspond with cardinal directions and possibly astronomical events, hinting that the Wari may have incorporated cosmological knowledge into their architectural planning. Could this gate have functioned as a kind of observatory, a portal aligned with the movements of the sun, the moon, or specific stars? Or was it designed to signify power, control, and spiritual authority, a tangible expression of social hierarchy? Construction of the gate would have required not only skilled craftsmanship, but significant coordination and labor. The stones were quarried, shaped, and transported across uneven terrain, their final placement demanding careful planning and execution. This implies a society capable of organizing complex projects, one that understood both engineering principles and human logistics on a scale that continues to astonish modern observers. What systems of knowledge, instruction, or tradition enabled them to achieve such feats? Were these methods passed down orally, encoded in ritual, or guided by observational practices now forgotten? Beyond its technical aspects, the gate carries an aura of intentionality and meaning. The Wari culture was deeply ritualistic, and the architectural features of Pikillaqta, including the terraces, plazas, and gate itself, may have been designed to influence human experience, movement, and perception. Was the gate intended to evoke awe, reverence, or contemplation? Did it mark entry into a space where the mundane and the sacred converged, where ceremonies, governance, or social hierarchies were enacted in stone and space? And how did the design shape the interactions of those who passed beneath its weighty stones, day after day, generation after generation? Comparisons with other megalithic sites across Peru and South America reveal intriguing parallels. Sites like Sacsayhuaman, Inka Uyo, and even Samaipata demonstrate a recurring theme: massive stones, precise placement, and possible celestial alignments. Yet Pikillaqta remains unique in its combination of civic, ceremonial, and monumental design. Could this suggest that knowledge of construction and symbolism was widespread, diffused across regions and cultures? Or does it reflect independent ingenuity, multiple societies arriving at similar solutions to architectural, spiritual, and societal challenges? The setting of the gate further amplifies its significance. Situated on a plateau overlooking valleys and distant mountain ranges, it dominates the surrounding terrain, creating a vantage point that is both strategic and symbolic. Did the Wari choose this location for defensive reasons, ceremonial importance, or its visual prominence? And what does this choice tell us about their relationship to the land, to the cosmos, and to the communities they governed? The placement of such monumental structures in relation to the natural world hints at a sophisticated worldview, one that integrated human society, sacred space, and environmental context into a unified vision. Standing before the megalithic gate today, one is struck by its presence, its silent authority, and the skill embedded in every joint, angle, and alignment. The stones are silent, yet they speak across centuries, bearing witness to human ambition, creativity, and ritual practice. They invite us to consider the knowledge, beliefs, and cultural imperatives that motivated such labor and vision. Every mark, every alignment, every massive block is a fragment of a story that stretches across time, part technical achievement, part symbolic expression, and part enduring mystery. And yet, for all that can be studied and observed, many questions remain unanswered. How precisely were the stones shaped and transported? What ceremonies were performed beneath this threshold? What knowledge guided the placement, alignment, and symbolic function of this megalithic gate? Wari Pikillaqta, with its imposing entrance, precise construction, and enigmatic purpose, stands as both a monument to human ingenuity and a reminder of the mysteries that survive from prehistoric civilizations. It challenges us to consider not only what was achieved, but also what has been lost, what knowledge vanished, and what secrets might still lie hidden beneath the stones, waiting to be discovered by those who dare to look closer. Perched atop the rolling hills of Nara Prefecture in Japan, the Masuda-no-Iwafune rises with a quiet yet imposing presence. Unlike temples or shrines carved from wood and adorned with ritual, this monument is hewn directly from solid rock, a colossal stone object whose sheer scale and precision immediately provoke awe. Measuring nearly 11 meters in length, 8 meters in width, and more than 4 meters in height, the stone rests upon a gently sloping plateau, its flat surfaces and sharply carved edges defying easy explanation. No signs of construction debris, transportation channels, or nearby quarries provide definitive clues to its origins, leaving scholars and visitors alike to confront the enigma of a prehistoric effort frozen in stone. Masuda-no-Iwafune, which translates roughly as rock ship, has long fascinated archaeologists, historians, and curious travelers. Its form is highly geometric. Straight lines, squared edges, and smooth, flat planes dominate its design, punctuated by a pair of deep, circular depressions carved into the top. The purpose of these features remains elusive. Some researchers propose that they were functional, perhaps for astronomical observation, ritual offerings, or water collection. Others suggest symbolic significance, a physical manifestation of spiritual or cosmological ideas. Yet no artifacts, inscriptions, or records exist to confirm any of these hypotheses. Could the object have been a sacred altar, a marker of celestial events, or even a component of a larger, now lost ceremonial complex? What makes Masuda-no-Iwafune particularly compelling is the technical mastery it embodies. The granite from which it is carved is exceptionally hard, yet the edges are sharp, the surfaces remarkably flat, and the angles precise. How did its creators achieve such accuracy without metal tools, machinery, or modern measuring devices? And how was the stone quarried, shaped, and positioned on this plateau without clear evidence of ramps or lifting mechanisms? The monument challenges assumptions about the technological capabilities of prehistoric societies in Japan, inviting speculation about methods, knowledge, and cultural priorities that have vanished from the historical record. The context of the surrounding landscape adds layers to the mystery. Masuda-no-Iwafune sits amidst a sparsely populated terrain, with distant views of rivers, hills, and ancient pathways. Its location is strategic yet enigmatic, elevated enough to command attention, yet isolated from known settlements or ceremonial centers. Was this deliberate, chosen to mark a sacred landscape, a boundary, or a vantage point for observing the heavens? Or did the plateau itself possess spiritual significance, a natural pedestal elevated to meet human intention in a union of earth and stone? Such questions underscore the enigmatic relationship between the monument, its builders, and the environment in which it was placed. Scholars have noted that the geometric simplicity of Masuda-no-Iwafune is deceptive. Its flat planes, straight edges, and depressions suggest both aesthetic restraint and functional sophistication. Some speculate that the depressions could have been used to hold water for ritual purification, while others see them as symbolic representations of celestial bodies or cosmological principles. Could the stone itself have functioned as a calendar, an astronomical tool, or a focal point for ceremonies aligned with solstices and equinoxes? And if so, what cultural or religious knowledge guided its creators in translating these observations into stone? Theories surrounding the monument are numerous, yet none are definitive. Some suggest connections to other megalithic sites across Japan, hinting at a widespread tradition of stone carving that predates written history. Others propose influences from continental Asia, or even ideas lost to time, pointing to a sophisticated prehistoric culture whose understanding of stone, space, and symbolism exceeded what is typically attributed to the era. Did Masuda-no-Iwafune represent a solitary experiment, a communal effort, or a node in a network of ceremonial and astronomical sites? The lack of corroborating evidence leaves each hypothesis tantalizing but incomplete. The monument also raises questions about the social and cultural organization of its builders. Constructing such an object required not only physical labor but planning, coordination, and shared vision. Who commissioned this colossal stone? Were there religious or political leaders directing the work, or was it a community undertaking guided by collective knowledge and spiritual imperatives? And how was the knowledge to shape, transport, and carve such a massive granite object preserved, communicated, or ritualized? Standing before Masuda-no-Iwafune, one is struck not only by its size but by its silence. It does not proclaim purpose with inscriptions or adornment. It simply exists, precise, monumental, and enigmatic. The stone invites contemplation, urging observers to consider the ingenuity, dedication, and world-view of its creators. Every plane, edge, and depression hints at intent, yet the full meaning remains locked within the stone, inaccessible except through speculation, analysis, and imagination. And so, Masuda-no-Iwafune persists as a testament to human ambition and ingenuity, a prehistoric monument that challenges our understanding of technical skill, cultural expression, and spiritual practice. How was such precision achieved? What rituals or ceremonies took place here? And what knowledge guided the hands that carved, shaped, and positioned this massive stone? Like the other prehistoric megastructures scattered across the globe, Masuda-no-Iwafune is a silent witness to a world that once was, a world of ingenuity, devotion, and mystery, still waiting for those who dare to look deeper, question further, and wonder what secrets remain hidden in plain sight. In the eastern reaches of Iran, along the edge of the vast Sistan plain, the ruins of Shahr-e Sukhteh, the burnt city, emerge like whispers of a civilization long extinguished. Amid the sprawling remnants of dwellings, streets, and industrial areas, one structure captures immediate attention: the base of a fire temple, a raised platform constructed from baked bricks and stone, standing solitary yet commanding in its deliberate placement. The site is stark, its geometric lines and elevated position cutting sharply against the flat, arid terrain. Even in ruins, the fire temple base conveys a sense of purpose and ritual, a place where smoke, flame, and devotion once coalesced into acts of spiritual significance. Shahr-e Sukhteh flourished over 5,000 years ago during the Bronze Age as part of a complex urban network that astonishes archaeologists with its sophistication. The fire temple base appears to have been central to communal or religious activity, yet its precise function is not fully understood. The platform's elevation suggests that it was designed to isolate or highlight ritual practice, raising fire, perhaps sacred flame, above the daily life of the settlement. Was this temple a place of worship, a site for ceremonial offerings, or a focal point for astronomical observation? The lack of inscriptions or textual records leaves these questions tantalizingly open. What immediately captures the imagination is the platform's construction. Baked bricks, some weighing tens of kilograms, were carefully arranged to form straight edges and perfectly level surfaces, demonstrating planning, technical knowledge, and a mastery of materials that was remarkable for its time. The size of the base, coupled with the uniformity of its construction, implies coordinated labor and social organization. How did this ancient society achieve such precision with tools limited to the Bronze Age? Were there techniques, now forgotten, that allowed them to shape and assemble these heavy bricks with such enduring stability? And what cultural or spiritual imperatives drove the labor required to erect this elevated monument? The placement of the fire temple base within the city raises further intrigue. It occupies a prominent location, yet its orientation, alignment, and relationship with surrounding structures are subtle, inviting speculation. Archaeologists have noted that certain features of Shahr-e Sukhteh may correspond with celestial events, suggesting that the fire temple could have functioned not only as a spiritual center, but as an observatory, marking solstices, equinoxes, or other astronomical cycles. Did the builders embed cosmological knowledge into the very bricks of the temple, or were these alignments symbolic, an architectural reflection of their understanding of the universe and humanity's place within it. The social implications of constructing such a platform are equally significant. Raising a fire temple required coordination, planning, and a collective will, indicating a society with hierarchy, shared beliefs, and the ability to mobilize labor for communal purposes. Were there priests or leaders directing the construction, guiding ritual practice, or safeguarding sacred knowledge? And how was this knowledge maintained and transmitted across generations, particularly in a society without written texts or formalized engineering manuals? The platform itself becomes a silent testament to the ingenuity, ambition, and spiritual life of a people whose achievements often defy contemporary expectations of prehistoric societies. Evidence of ritual activity near the platform deepens the mystery. Archaeologists have uncovered traces of ash, small artifacts, and spatial arrangements that hint at fire-related ceremonies. Yet, without direct records, interpretation remains speculative. Were these fires part of purification rituals, seasonal ceremonies, or complex rites tied to social or cosmological cycles? Did the elevated platform allow smoke and flame to reach the heavens in symbolic communication, connecting the community with deities, ancestors, or cosmic forces? Or was its purpose more mundane, related to observation, signaling, or administration? Each hypothesis opens new avenues of thought, yet none can claim certainty. Comparisons with other contemporary sites across the Near East underscore both the uniqueness and sophistication of Shahr-e Sukhteh. While fire temples are documented elsewhere, the size, precision, and context of this platform stand out. Could it represent an advanced understanding of urban planning, ritual design, and environmental adaptation? And might there be cultural or technological connections with other civilizations that existed in the broader region at the same time, now obscured by millennia? These questions highlight the enduring enigma of the site, inviting ongoing investigation and reflection. Standing before the temple base today, one senses the deliberate choice embedded in every brick, every level surface, and every elevated corner. The platform conveys intent, purpose, and reverence, yet its full meaning remains veiled. It is a place designed to elevate fire, human activity, and possibly the spirit itself, a locus where practical, ceremonial, and symbolic intersect. Every line, every alignment, every surviving brick speaks of knowledge, skill, and belief, yet leaves unanswered the fundamental questions about the society that created it. And so, the fire temple base of Shahr-e Sukhteh endures as a monument to both human achievement and enduring mystery. How was such precise construction achieved in a society limited to Bronze Age tools? What ceremonies, rituals, or observations unfolded atop this platform? And what knowledge, now lost, guided the hands that built and consecrated this space? As with so many prehistoric megastructures, the answers remain just beyond reach, inviting us to reflect, wonder, and consider the remarkable ingenuity of civilizations long vanished from the earth. Shahr-e Sukhteh, with its solemn fire temple base, stands as both evidence of human ambition and a riddle that continues to challenge our understanding of the prehistoric world. Perched on the windswept heights of Peru's Puno region, overlooking the expansive plains and the distant waters of Lake Titicaca, the Kutimbo Chulpas emerge from the earth as silent sentinels of a forgotten past. These stone towers, cylindrical and monumental, rise from the rocky terrain like echoes of a civilization whose intentions and methods remain partially obscured by time. Their sheer presence evokes curiosity and awe, as each tower, carefully constructed from volcanic stone, appears to have been deliberately designed to endure the centuries, standing as both guardians and monuments. Walking among them, one feels the weight of human effort, the precision of hands long vanished, and the lingering sense of ritual and purpose that pervades the site. The Kutimbo Chulpas are believed to have served as funerary towers for the Kala people, predating the Inca, yet their construction and design suggest a sophistication that challenges conventional expectations of prehistoric societies in the Andes. Each chulpa is composed of carefully stacked stones, sometimes with interiors large enough to house multiple human remains. The stones are often fitted with remarkable precision, some interlocking in ways that require meticulous planning and knowledge of weight distribution. How were these massive stones transported and shaped without metal tools or mechanical aid? And why choose this particular arrangement? Circular towers rising from the plateau in groups and patterns that suggest more than mere practicality? Many of the towers bear openings, often positioned to the east, suggesting a connection to the rising sun and perhaps a symbolic relationship between life, death, and the cosmos. Could these orientations reflect a cosmological understanding, aligning the deceased with celestial patterns or seasonal cycles? Were these towers designed to serve as more than burial sites, functioning as markers of time, sacred observatories, or conduits between the earthly and spiritual realms? Each tower becomes a puzzle, blending architecture, astronomy, and ritual in ways that are at once subtle and profound. The technical skill involved in building the Kutimbo Chulpas is astonishing. The volcanic stones, sometimes irregular in shape, are cut and placed with care, forming walls that have withstood centuries of wind, rain, and seismic activity. Some towers exhibit smooth exteriors, while others bear patterns or carvings that may hold symbolic meaning. How did the builders achieve such structural integrity, and what tools or techniques allowed them to manipulate stone with such precision? The absence of written records leaves us to speculate on methods and intentions. Yet the endurance of the towers speaks volumes about the knowledge, labor, and organization required for their creation. Beyond the technical and cosmological aspects, the social and cultural significance of the site is profound. Constructing multiple towers, each dedicated to the dead, implies not only ritual devotion, but also social organization and hierarchy. Who decided which individuals merited such enduring monuments? Were these towers reserved for elites, leaders, or spiritual figures? And how did their placement within the landscape reflect power, memory, or collective identity? The towers may also have functioned as territorial markers, asserting claims over the land, or as visual reminders of ancestry and cultural continuity, visible across the plains for miles. Some of the towers contain multiple burial chambers, indicating complex funerary practices, with mummified remains carefully placed alongside offerings and artifacts. These practices hint at a society deeply attuned to both the physical and spiritual worlds, preserving memory and lineage through monumental architecture. Yet even with these clues, the precise rituals, beliefs, and cosmological ideas behind the chulpas remain elusive. Were they designed primarily to honor the dead, or did they also serve as active spaces of ritual engagement for the living? Could the arrangement and orientation of the towers encode knowledge of astronomical phenomena or agricultural cycles, embedding practical and spiritual understanding into the landscape? The setting of Kutimbo adds to its enigmatic aura. High above the plains, the towers are exposed to wind, sun, and the vast horizon, suggesting a deliberate choice of visibility and prominence. Did the builders intend for the towers to be seen from afar, to communicate power, memory, or ritual significance across the land? And how did the challenging environment influence construction techniques, choice of materials, and the placement of the towers? These questions highlight a civilization deeply connected to its terrain, shaping it with monumental effort while integrating observation, ritual, and social purpose. Standing among the chulpas today, one senses an extraordinary blend of human ambition, technical mastery, and spiritual devotion. The towers are silent, yet they speak across the centuries, conveying messages about life, death, and memory that continue to intrigue scholars and visitors alike. Every stone, every alignment, every opening invites reflection on the capabilities, beliefs, and aspirations of a people who have left no written record but a landscape of enduring mystery. And yet, for all that can be observed and studied, the mysteries of Kutimbo remain unresolved. How were these towers constructed with such precision in a prehistoric society? What ceremonies, beliefs, or cosmological knowledge guided their design and orientation? And what secrets might still be hidden within their stone walls, waiting for discovery? Like other prehistoric megastructures scattered across the globe, the Kutimbo Cholpas endure as both a monument to human ingenuity and a reminder that much of our past remains shrouded in mystery, inviting us to explore, reflect, and wonder what else has been silently preserved through time. On the sun-baked island of Gozo, part of the Maltese archipelago, the Ggantija Temples rise from the limestone plateau with a quiet yet commanding presence. Massive megaliths, some weighing more than 50 tons, are arranged in imposing, curving structures that seem to defy both gravity and the passage of time. The stones are carefully placed in concentric enclosures, forming a layout that hints at ceremony, function, and intention. Walking among them today, it is impossible not to feel the weight of human ambition and ingenuity, and the eerie sense that these monoliths were created with knowledge and purpose that remains largely incomprehensible. Their enduring presence evokes questions about the prehistoric minds that envisioned such grand constructions, and the civilization capable of realizing them without the tools, technology, or written records we often consider necessary for monumental architecture. Ggantija, which translates roughly to Giant's Tower, is believed to have been constructed between 3,600 and 3,200 BCE, making it one of the oldest freestanding stone structures in the world. Its builders predate the pharaohs of Egypt, the earliest Sumerian city-states, and the megalithic structures of Europe's later Neolithic cultures. The scale of the temples alone is staggering. Massive stones, some carved with painstaking precision, are arranged to create chambers, altars, and spaces whose function remains open to interpretation. How did prehistoric people, without metal tools or large-scale machinery, quarry, transport, and position stones of such monumental weight? The question alone challenges our assumptions about the capabilities of early civilizations. The temple's layout adds layers of intrigue. The curving, semicircular enclosures suggest ceremonial or ritual functions, with altars positioned to focus attention, perhaps on the act of worship, offerings, or celestial observation. Archaeologists have noted alignments that hint at solstices, suggesting a sophisticated understanding of the sun's movement and the rhythms of the seasons. Could the Ggantija builders have been marking time, seasons, or cosmic cycles through their architecture? Were these spaces designed to align the terrestrial and celestial, merging human ritual with the movements of the heavens? The precision and intentionality of the design provoke both admiration and speculation. The stones themselves are remarkable. Some display careful shaping, with surfaces flattened and edges squared, while others bear natural fractures used to advantage in construction. The sheer size and weight of the megaliths required coordinated effort and ingenuity. Moving and lifting these blocks, some over several meters in length, would have demanded techniques lost to time. Were levers, ramps, or rolling logs employed? Or did the builders possess a more intuitive mastery of stone and terrain, a skill honed over generations yet now invisible to modern eyes? Each stone is both artifact and question, bearing silent testimony to the effort, knowledge, and labor invested in this ancient monument. Beyond the technical achievement, Ggantija offers a glimpse into the spiritual and cultural life of its creators. The temples are thought to have been places of fertility worship, indicated by the recurring motif of statues and figurines emphasizing human reproduction and vitality. Yet the exact nature of rituals, ceremonies, or societal structure surrounding the temples remains speculative. How did these spaces shape community life, belief, and identity? Were they reserved for religious elites, or did the wider populace engage with the sacred spaces? And how did the builder's worldview influence the very layout of the stones, the orientation of chambers, and the creation of these enduring enclosures? The location itself amplifies the mystery. Situated on a limestone plateau overlooking rolling hills and the distant sea, the temples occupy a commanding vantage point, visible across the landscape. Was this prominence deliberate, intended to communicate spiritual authority, territorial presence, or a connection between the people and their land? Could the elevation have allowed the temples to interact symbolically with celestial phenomena, sunlight, or seasonal markers? The choice of site underscores the interplay of geography, cosmology, and human intention, hinting at a sophisticated appreciation for the environment and its relationship to ritual practice. Comparisons with other megalithic sites across the Mediterranean and Europe highlight both commonalities and singularities. Like Stonehenge or Malta's later Tarxian temples, Ggantija exhibits precise stonework, ceremonial alignment, and enduring form. Yet its combination of scale, antiquity, and layout sets it apart, suggesting a society capable of coordinated labor, architectural planning, and symbolic communication far earlier than previously assumed. Did knowledge of construction techniques, astronomy, and ritual practice diffuse across the region, or did Ggantija represent an isolated flowering of ingenuity? The question remains unanswered. Standing among the towering megaliths, one is struck not only by their size, but by the deliberate artistry and precision embedded in each placement. The temples are silent yet eloquent, inviting reflection on the skill, vision, and spiritual life of their creators. Each chamber, each altar, each carefully positioned stone is a fragment of a narrative that has been partially lost to time, yet continues to resonate across millennia. And yet, for all the study, analysis, and interpretation, the full story of Ggantija remains elusive. How were these stones moved and positioned with such accuracy in a prehistoric context? What specific rituals and beliefs guided the construction of the temples? And what knowledge, astronomical, spiritual, or societal, was encoded in their very form, now largely lost to history? Ggantija stands as both a monument to human ambition and a puzzle that challenges our understanding, inviting us to wonder at the ingenuity, devotion, and mystery of a civilization that built not merely for the present, but for eternity. As the morning sun rises over the Nile's fertile banks, the Temple of Karnak emerges from the sands of Luxor, with a grandeur that is both overwhelming and humbling. At the heart of this sprawling complex lies the hypostyle hall, a monumental chamber that seems to defy comprehension. Walking among its towering columns, some reaching over 20 meters in height, their capitals carved to resemble the papyrus and lotus plants of the Nile, the visitor is enveloped by a forest of stone, each pillar meticulously aligned in rows that stretch in seemingly endless corridors. The hall is vast, measuring over 50,000 square feet, and its sheer scale is designed to awe, to dominate, and perhaps to intimidate. Yet, beyond the grandeur, there is an undeniable air of mystery, a lingering question of how ancient architects and laborers achieved such precision and ambition without the technologies we assume necessary for such feats. Constructed primarily during the reigns of Pharaoh Seti I and Ramses II, roughly between 1290 and 1224 BCE, the hypostyle hall represents the pinnacle of New Kingdom architectural achievement. Each column is crafted from sandstone, quarried, transported, and erected with extraordinary care. The capitals, intricately carved with hieroglyphs, scenes of pharaonic power, and images of the gods convey stories that intertwine politics, religion, and cosmic order. Scholars marvel not only at the artistic mastery, but also at the engineering required to lift, position, and secure stones of such size and weight. How were these massive monoliths maneuvered into place with such exacting alignment, maintaining structural integrity across decades of construction? What techniques allowed for such precise orientation within the hall, ensuring symmetry and harmony on a scale that remains breathtaking even today? The spatial design of the hypostyle hall itself is enigmatic. The central columns, taller and more massive than those flanking them, create a clerestory that allows filtered light to illuminate the interior in dramatic shafts. This play of shadow and illumination may have been intended to evoke the mystical emergence of order from chaos, to guide the attention of worshippers, or to align with celestial events. Could the architects have embedded astronomical knowledge into the very design of the hall, aligning columns and corridors with solstices or significant stellar positions? Did the light streaming through the clerestory serve ritual purposes, marking time, or enhancing sacred ceremonies performed within this monumental forest of stone? The carvings themselves deepen the hall's mystery. Hieroglyphic texts and reliefs record victories, religious rituals, and divine decrees, yet the true intent behind their placement and selection often eludes modern understanding. Were they mere propaganda, sacred storytelling, or encoded knowledge meant for initiates? And what of the sheer physicality of the hall, the echoing space, the weight of stone pressing overhead, the alignment of pillars creating corridors that seem to stretch into infinity? How did these design choices shape perception, experience, and the spiritual state of those who entered? It is as if every aspect of the hall was engineered not only for function, but to create awe, reverence, and perhaps even fear. The construction methods remain a subject of debate. Moving massive sandstone blocks, some weighing upwards of 70 tons, across the Nile Valley, then precisely positioning them in the hall, is a feat that strains belief. Theories abound, ranging from sophisticated ramp systems and rollers to methods now lost to time, yet no definitive evidence explains every aspect of the process. How were stones raised to align perfectly with their neighbors, maintaining level floors, vertical walls, and consistent spacing across such a massive area? And how did the builders coordinate the labor of thousands of workers, managing tools, resources, and measurements with a precision that modern engineers still admire? The hypostyle hall's religious and symbolic function adds another layer of intrigue. It was designed as a sacred space, a meeting point between the earthly and the divine, where pharaohs, priests, and the people engaged in rituals intended to sustain cosmic order. Each carving, each column, each carefully chosen orientation was part of a larger cosmology, yet the full meaning of these ceremonial practices is partially obscured. How did the ancients perceive space, proportion, and alignment as sacred? Was the hall intended to emulate the primordial mound, the ordered emergence of the world from chaos, or to mirror the celestial canopy above? Further mysteries arise when considering the hall's endurance. The hypostyle hall has withstood millennia of flooding, seismic activity, and human intervention, retaining both its structural integrity and much of its carved detail. The builder's understanding of materials, weight distribution, and long-term durability was extraordinary. Was this the result of careful observation, empirical knowledge passed through generations, or techniques now lost to history? And what inspired such ambition in a society already capable of monumental pyramids, temples, and cities? Why push the scale of stonework to the limits of possibility within a single hall? Comparisons with other global megalithic structures reveal both similarities and singularities. Like the massive stones of Stonehenge, the pyramids of Giza, or the megalithic temples of Malta, the hypostyle hall demonstrates remarkable technical and conceptual achievement. Yet its combination of scale, detail, and symbolic complexity is unparalleled. Could knowledge of geometry, astronomy, and construction have been shared across regions, or did Egyptian architects achieve these feats independently, guided by culture, religion, and observation? The hall remains a testament to human ingenuity, yet it also poses questions that have no definitive answers. Standing beneath the canopy of columns, enveloped by shadows and the filtered light streaming through the clerestory, one is struck not only by the technical mastery, but by the deliberate, intentional experience the space creates. The hypostyle hall is more than architecture. It is narrative, ritual, and vision, sculpted in stone to convey power, faith, and cosmological understanding. Every pillar, every carved relief, every alignment speaks of labor, devotion, and knowledge, yet invites endless speculation about what has been lost to time. And yet, for all the study and scholarship, the hypostyle hall's full mysteries remain unresolved. How exactly were the colossal stones transported, lifted, and aligned with such precision? What rituals, astronomical observations, or sacred knowledge guided the placement of each column and carving? How did this hall shape the experience of the people who walked among its monolithic pillars thousands of years ago? As with the world's most enigmatic prehistoric megastructures, the hypostyle hall challenges our understanding, urging us to confront the remarkable ingenuity of civilizations past and consider what secrets, methods, and knowledge may still lie hidden within the stone, waiting to be rediscovered. Across the rolling plains near the confluence of the Mississippi and Missouri rivers, the Cahokia Mounds rise like echoes of a civilization whose scale and sophistication still defy comprehension. From a distance, the landscape appears deceptively simple, a series of earthen rises punctuating the horizon. Yet as one draws closer, the sheer magnitude of human labor becomes evident. Monk's Mound, the largest of the mounds, towers more than 30 meters above the surrounding plain, with a base larger than that of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Surrounding it are dozens of smaller mounds, carefully positioned in relation to one another, forming a vast, ordered cityscape that once housed tens of thousands of inhabitants. Walking these grounds today, it is impossible not to sense the ambition, planning, and spiritual intention embedded in every contour of Earth. Cahokia thrived between roughly 1050 and 1350 CE, serving as the political, ceremonial, and economic center of what is now called the Mississippian culture. Unlike the stone structures of Egypt or Malta, Cahokia relied on earthworks, wooden structures, and sophisticated urban planning. Yet the sheer scale and complexity of the site suggest engineering and organizational abilities that rival those of more widely celebrated civilizations. How did these communities move millions of cubic meters of soil with simple tools, shaping the landscape with such precision and vision? What inspired such labor-intensive constructions, and what social or spiritual structures guided the effort? Monk's Mound, the central focus of the site, is particularly enigmatic. Its stepped terraces hint at ceremonial or religious significance, rising in broad platforms that may have supported timber structures, perhaps temples or elite residences. The alignment of the mound, along with others in the complex, appears to reflect solar and lunar cycles, hinting at astronomical observation integrated into urban design. Were these alignments functional, symbolic, or both? Did the builders intend for the mounds to communicate power, cosmological understanding, or spiritual authority to both the inhabitants and outsiders? And what knowledge of geometry, surveying, and social coordination allowed the construction of such massive earthworks with a precision that has endured for centuries? The spatial arrangement of Cahokia is equally intriguing. The mounds are not random. They form patterns that suggest intentional planning, with plazas, causeways, and observation points interweaving ceremonial, residential, and civic functions. Woodhenge, a series of timber circles discovered near the central mounds, further emphasizes the community's engagement with celestial phenomena. Could these circles have been calendars, observatories, or ritual spaces? And how did the builders integrate such astronomical knowledge with large-scale urban planning without written records or modern surveying tools? Archaeological excavations reveal traces of social hierarchy and complex organization. The largest mounds likely served as platforms for the elite or as centers for ritual performance, while smaller mounds may have marked burials, sacred sites, or territorial boundaries. The labor required to construct Monk's Mound alone suggests a highly coordinated society, capable of mobilizing thousands of people over decades, if not centuries. How were these projects organized? What motivated people to dedicate their lives to shaping Earth on such a monumental scale? Was it devotion, political authority, cultural identity, or perhaps a combination of all three? Artifacts found at Cahokia hint at long-distance trade, specialized craft production, and cultural sophistication. Shells from the Gulf of Mexico, copper from the Great Lakes, and mica from the Appalachian region demonstrate a network of exchange that spans hundreds of kilometers. How did such a civilization maintain political cohesion, social structure, and economic networks across such distances? And what role did the monumental architecture, the mounds themselves, play in sustaining social and spiritual cohesion among the population? Despite centuries of study, many aspects of Cahokia remain enigmatic. The reasons for its sudden decline around 1350 CE are still debated. Was it environmental stress, social upheaval, disease, or a combination of factors that led to the abandonment of such a sophisticated urban center? And yet, even in decay, the mounds endure, silent witnesses to the ingenuity, ambition, and spiritual life of the Mississippian people. Every rise of earth, every alignment, every trace of a former structure speaks to knowledge, effort, and intentionality that challenges modern assumptions about pre-Columbian societies in North America. The human experience of the site is also striking. Standing atop Monk's Mound, one can see the vast expanse of the plains, the layout of smaller mounds, and the traces of ancient causeways and plazas. The horizon stretches endlessly, yet the site's design encourages reflection on community, hierarchy, and the relationship between humans and the cosmos. Was this elevated perspective intended to impress, inspire, or communicate authority? Did the builders envision the mounds as enduring symbols of their cultural and spiritual beliefs, meant to endure beyond the lifetimes of those who shaped them? Cahokia Mounds is a testament to both human ambition and mystery. Its monumental scale, precise organization, and integration of spiritual, astronomical, and civic elements demonstrate a level of sophistication that continues to challenge archaeologists, historians, and engineers alike. How did a society without metal tools, writing, or wheeled vehicles accomplish feats that rival stone-built civilizations elsewhere? What beliefs, knowledge, and social structures sustained the creation of such an immense and enduring urban center? And what secrets remain hidden beneath the earth, waiting to reveal insights about one of North America's most remarkable prehistoric civilizations? As we walk among the mounds today, it becomes clear that Cahokia is not merely an archaeological site. It is a landscape of memory, ritual, and human ambition. Every mound, every alignment, every subtle contour of earth speaks to lives lived in coordination, vision, and devotion. And yet, the full story remains tantalizingly beyond our grasp. What knowledge has been lost? What practices and beliefs remain unrecorded? Like other prehistoric megastructures around the world, Cahokia challenges our understanding of what humanity could achieve. reminding us that the past holds mysteries that continue to inspire wonder and curiosity, urging us to consider what else remains hidden in the silent earth beneath our feet. High in the Andean highlands of Peru, where jagged peaks cast long shadows over narrow valleys, lies Chavín de Huantar, a site whose very stones seem to pulse with the memory of a civilization long vanished. From the outside, the complex appears as a series of stone platforms, terraces, and walls, carefully arranged in a labyrinthine formation. Yet, as one steps closer, the scale, intricacy, and ambition of Chavín emerge with undeniable force. Massive stone blocks, some weighing several tons, are carved with serpents, jaguars, and human-animal hybrids, forming a symbolic tapestry that conveys spiritual, social, and perhaps even astronomical significance. The site is not merely architecture. It is a narrative frozen in stone, a dialogue between human ambition and cosmic understanding, stretching across centuries of knowledge now partially lost. Chavín de Huantar flourished around 900 to 200 BCE, serving as a ceremonial and religious hub for the Chavín culture. It is believed to have been a center for pilgrimage, drawing individuals from across the Andes, united by shared ritual, spiritual aspiration, and perhaps a common understanding of sacred geometry embedded into the very stones. The labyrinthine galleries and sunken plazas hint at a society with extraordinary engineering skill, capable of manipulating both stone and terrain to create controlled spaces of ritual experience. How were these massive stones transported from distant quarries, carried up steep, rugged mountainsides, and then precisely aligned to form complex interior chambers? And what guided the layout, from sunken plazas to temple platforms, to create an experience simultaneously monumental, intimate, and deeply spiritual? One of Chavín's most striking features is its subterranean network of galleries and drainage channels. These corridors, hidden beneath temple platforms, were ingeniously designed to carry water throughout the site, creating both practical and ceremonial effects. The rushing of water through these channels, amplified by carefully carved stone, would have filled the galleries with a haunting soundscape. Imagine the priests, or perhaps the initiated, walking these corridors as the echoes of water, ritual chanting, and natural acoustics intertwined to create a sensory experience unlike any modern equivalent. Was this design intended to communicate with the divine, to induce altered states of consciousness, or to symbolize the flow of life itself? And how did the builders discover, without modern engineering knowledge, that the precise dimensions and angles of these channels would produce such effects? Chavín's stone carvings further deepen the enigma. The iconic lanzón, a towering carved granite pillar at the heart of the site, depicts a human-animal hybrid whose eyes seem to follow those who approach. Surrounding it are intricate reliefs of jaguars, snakes, and eagles, blending earthly and supernatural symbolism. The alignment of the lanzón within the temple, often connected with light shafts and sightlines, suggests astronomical or ritual significance. Did the Chavín understand celestial cycles, seasonal changes, or solar and lunar events in ways encoded into their sacred architecture? Were these images and alignments designed to guide perception, communicate cosmological principles, or serve as conduits between the earthly and divine realms? Each carving, each placement, hints at a sophisticated, possibly codified understanding of the universe, an understanding that modern scholars can only partially reconstruct. The construction of Chavín de Huantar reveals a society of exceptional organization and skill. The sheer volume of stonework, combined with precise carving and the integration of water systems, implies a complex social structure capable of mobilizing large workforces. How was labor coordinated across the mountainside? What knowledge of mathematics, measurement, and engineering guided the placement of every block, every gallery, every drainage channel? And how were these monumental efforts funded, managed, and sustained over generations in a high-altitude environment where survival itself demanded attention and resources? Yet Chavín de Huantar is more than an architectural feat. It is a cultural and spiritual statement, a manifestation of beliefs that remain partially hidden. The iconography suggests a society deeply attuned to transformation, duality, and the relationship between humans and the natural world. The repeated motifs of felines, serpents, and avian creatures may represent shamanic visions, cosmological principles, or symbolic codes intended for initiates. Were these representations purely spiritual, or did they encode practical knowledge about the environment, agriculture, or social hierarchy? And how did participants in Chavín rituals experience these symbols? Through sight, sound, touch, and movement within the precisely crafted spaces of temples and galleries? The setting of Chavín further amplifies its mystery. Nestled at the convergence of the Mosna and Huachexa rivers, the site leverages both natural and engineered landscapes. Terraces, ramps, and retaining walls follow the contours of the mountainside, integrating human construction seamlessly into the terrain. Was this integration a practical response to the environment? Or did it hold symbolic meaning, connecting the sacred architecture to the flowing rivers and the surrounding mountains as part of a larger cosmology? Could the site have been designed to harness natural energy, sound, or water in ways that shaped ritual experience and reinforced spiritual narratives? Even the purpose of Chavín remains partially enigmatic. While it is widely regarded as a ceremonial center, the precise nature of its rituals, the social hierarchy it enforced, and the cosmological knowledge it embodied are still debated. Was it a pilgrimage site where distant peoples converged, bringing offerings and knowledge from across the Andes? Did it serve as a training ground for shamans, priests, or leaders, transmitting esoteric knowledge through ritualized experience? Or was it a center of political as well as spiritual power, where social cohesion and authority were maintained through architecture, ceremony, and symbolism? Each possibility invites deeper reflection on the nature of human organization and belief in the ancient Andes. Artifacts found at Chavín, including finely carved stone vessels, jewelry, and obsidian tools, further highlight the sophistication of this civilization. They reveal trade networks, specialized craft, and artistic development, suggesting a society that combined material skill with spiritual insight. Yet for all we can observe, much remains inaccessible, hidden beneath the stones, buried in ceremonial chambers, or encoded in symbolism that we may never fully decode. Standing amid Chavín de Huantar today, one is struck by the harmony of ingenuity, spirituality, and environmental awareness. The monumental stone terraces, labyrinthine galleries, sacred carvings, and ingeniously designed water channels all convey a vision of a civilization that understood its world in ways both practical and transcendent. Every corridor, every carved relief, every sound of flowing water speaks to human ambition, devotion, and intellectual achievement. And yet, for all the insight gained through archaeology, Chavín de Huantar remains a mystery. How did a prehistoric society, without written language as we know it, without modern engineering tools, and in a challenging high-altitude environment, achieve such a harmonious integration of architecture, ritual, and symbolism? What knowledge, techniques, and spiritual practices guided the creation of its galleries, altars, and carvings? And what secrets still lie hidden, waiting for discovery beneath its stone platforms and within the flowing subterranean channels? Chavín invites us to marvel, to question, and to reflect on the profound capabilities of civilizations lost to time, reminding us that the ancient world still holds mysteries that challenge our understanding and ignite our curiosity. In the remote expanses of Siberia, where the winds sweep across Lake Tarakal and the horizon dissolves into endless sky, there lies an island that seems almost impossibly out of place. Por-Bajin, a fortress-like structure, emerges from the waters with a quiet, imposing presence, its stone walls and wooden platforms bearing witness to human ambition in one of the harshest climates on Earth. At first glance, the island is serene, even desolate, surrounded by the reflective expanse of the lake and framed by distant mountains. Yet beneath this seeming tranquility lies the story of a complex and enigmatic site, a testament to ingenuity and purpose, whose true function continues to elude modern understanding. Por-Bajin was constructed around the 8th century CE during the reign of the Uyghur Khaganate, yet its exact purpose remains a subject of debate. The fortress covers an area of roughly 200 by 200 meters, with walls built from local stone and timber, carefully fitted and elevated to provide both protection and stability. Inside, the layout reveals a grid of rooms, courtyards, and platforms, suggesting careful planning and deliberate design. The precision of its construction, particularly given the remote location and harsh environmental conditions, raises immediate questions. How was such a massive structure erected on a small island with limited resources? What logistical, engineering, and social strategies were required to transport materials, coordinate labor, and maintain construction in a climate dominated by seasonal extremes? Archaeological studies have revealed that Por-Bajin's walls were not merely defensive. Their alignment, orientation, and proportion suggest an understanding of astronomy and solar cycles. Some scholars propose that the structure may have been used as a summer palace, a monastery, or even a ceremonial center. Yet none of these explanations fully account for the extraordinary precision and planning evident in the design. Could the builders have encoded cosmological knowledge into the very foundations of the fortress? Were the corridors, walls, and platforms arranged to capture sunlight at specific times of year, or to align with particular celestial events? And if so, what significance did these alignments hold for the people who lived, worked, or worshipped here? The construction itself is remarkable. Timber, carefully shaped and treated, was combined with stone to create foundations capable of withstanding the shifting ground and seasonal flooding of the island. The walls, while appearing simple from a distance, are the result of meticulous measurement, jointing, and placement. It is likely that the builders had to overcome challenges of soil stability, timber decay, and environmental exposure. How did they solve these engineering problems without the advanced tools or modern techniques we might take for granted? Were their construction methods lost to history, known only to those who toiled on the island and their immediate descendants? Inside the fortress, the layout invites contemplation. The central courtyard, surrounded by symmetrical rooms and elevated platforms, evokes a sense of order, hierarchy, and ritual. Could the island have been a sacred space, designed to isolate its occupants from the world beyond the lake, while simultaneously connecting them to the sky, the water, and the surrounding landscape? Some researchers point to similarities with other Central Asian and Siberian structures, hinting at cultural exchange or shared architectural principles. Yet Por-Bajin's uniqueness lies in its isolation and integration with its environment. Was this a deliberate choice, intended to convey spiritual authority, to create a site of meditation, or to assert power in a region otherwise dominated by natural forces? The environmental context of Por-Bajin amplifies its mystery. Situated in a remote and sparsely inhabited region, the fortress must have required a substantial logistical effort to maintain. Timber, food, and other necessities had to be transported across water, over distances that would have challenged even well-organized societies. How did the builders supply and sustain a population here, even temporarily? What level of planning, social organization, and political control was required to achieve this? And what motivated the creation of a monumental structure in such a forbidding and isolated location? Evidence from archaeological excavation reveals traces of domestic activity, tools, and ritual objects. Yet the interpretation of these findings remains inconclusive. Some suggest that Por-Bajin was intended as a seasonal administrative center, a palace, or even a monastic complex influenced by the spiritual practices of neighboring cultures. Others propose more speculative explanations, considering its precise alignment, geometric planning, and integration with the natural landscape. Could the fortress have served multiple purposes, both practical and symbolic, blending administration, defense, and spiritual observance into a single monumental expression? The architecture of Por-Bajin itself continues to intrigue scholars. Its grid-like layout, consistent proportions, and careful orientation suggest an understanding of mathematics and spatial organization that seems extraordinary for its time and place. How were these principles conceived, communicated, and executed without the standardized tools or measurement systems we associate with complex construction today? Was knowledge of geometry, proportion, and alignment passed down orally through apprenticeship or through an institutionalized system of builders and planners? And if so, how much of that knowledge has been lost to history, leaving us only fragments of understanding and unanswered questions? Por-Bajin also invites reflection on the human experience of the space. Standing on the island, one can sense the deliberate choices behind every wall, corridor, and platform. The combination of isolation and elevation, the proximity to water, and the precise layout suggest an intention to shape perception, experience, and perhaps even consciousness. Was the fortress designed to impress, to inspire awe, or to communicate spiritual authority? How did those who lived or visited here experience the interplay of natural forces and human construction, and what insights might they have gained from their time on the island that are now inaccessible to us? Despite decades of research, Por-Bajin's purpose remains tantalizingly uncertain. Its construction demonstrates extraordinary skill, planning, and vision, yet the motivations behind its creation are open to interpretation. Was it a center of ritual, a statement of political power, or a retreat for contemplation and spiritual practice? Could it have served multiple functions simultaneously, blending the sacred and the secular, the practical and the symbolic, in a way that challenges modern assumptions about prehistoric societies? And what secrets remain hidden beneath its walls, within its platforms, and beneath the waters that surround it? Por-Bajin Island Fortress is a monument to human ingenuity, ambition, and mystery. Every stone, every timber, every careful alignment speaks to a society capable of extraordinary achievement in isolation, yet leaves us questioning the knowledge, intention, and vision that guided its creation. Standing on the island today, enveloped by wind, water, and sky, one cannot help but wonder how much of our understanding of human history is limited by what survives, and how many remarkable feats remain hidden, waiting to be rediscovered in the remotest corners of the world. Por-Bajin invites us to reflect on the resilience, creativity, and ingenuity of ancient civilizations, and to consider what other enigmas lie silently beneath earth and water, challenging our assumptions and igniting our curiosity about the prehistoric world. High atop the windswept ridges of the La Libertad region in northern Peru, the ruins of Marco Huamachuco emerge like a fortress frozen in time. From a distance, the site appears as a series of terraced stone platforms and circular enclosures, their contours echoing the rugged mountains that cradle them. But as one draws nearer, the labyrinthine corridors, walls, and narrow passageways become apparent, revealing a level of architectural complexity that seems extraordinary for a society without metal tools, wheeled transport, or written records. Here, stone has been shaped, fitted, and arranged with deliberate intent, creating spaces that are at once defensive, ceremonial, and enigmatic. The corridors themselves wind and twist, their walls rising in precise angles and uniformity, forming pathways that challenge our modern understanding of pre-Columbian urban planning. Walking through them, one cannot help but feel a sense of deliberate orchestration. Every turn, every junction, every wall conveys intention and purpose, yet the reasons behind it remain elusive. Marco Huamachuco thrived between approximately 350 and 1100 CE, serving as a ceremonial, administrative, and possibly defensive center for cultures of the northern highlands. The site's sheer scale suggests a population capable of coordinating massive labor forces, capable of moving tons of stone from nearby quarries to build terraces, platforms, and the intricate corridors that define the complex. Yet beyond its impressive engineering, Marco Huamachuco communicates something less tangible. A vision of human ambition intertwined with spiritual or ritual significance. Why, in such a harsh, elevated environment, would a society dedicate such extraordinary effort to the construction of walls, terraces, and meandering corridors? What ideas, beliefs, or social structures motivated these builders to transform the rugged landscape into an ordered, symbolic environment? The corridors themselves are among the most puzzling features of the site. Some are narrow, constricted pathways that force movement in a single file, while others open suddenly into wide, circular courtyards or ceremonial platforms. The design appears purposeful, almost theatrical, controlling the flow of movement and shaping the experience of those who traversed them. Were these passages intended to guide ritual processions, to symbolize journeys between the earthly and spiritual realms, or to serve practical defensive functions, restricting access to vital areas? And how did the builders calculate the angles, lengths, and connections of these corridors with such precision, without the tools or surveying methods we take for granted today? Archaeological studies reveal that the walls were constructed using finely fitted stones, some of them weighing hundreds of kilograms, carefully aligned to withstand both the test of time and the seismic activity common to the region. Unlike simpler stacking techniques, the stonework of Marco Huamachuco demonstrates a sophisticated understanding of stability, geometry, and load distribution. How did these ancient builders achieve such enduring construction? Were there traditions of craftsmanship and knowledge passed down through generations? Or was this a singular cultural phenomenon, unique to this highland enclave? And what social mechanisms enabled the coordination of labor, supply chains, and construction across such a challenging terrain? The terraces and corridors are not merely functional. They also communicate an awareness of symbolism, ritual, and perhaps cosmology. Some walls are aligned to catch the light of the rising sun, casting shadows along narrow corridors that shift throughout the year. Could these alignments mark solstices, equinoxes, or other celestial events, integrating astronomical knowledge into the very fabric of the architecture? The placement of plazas and ceremonial spaces within the labyrinth suggests a careful orchestration of perception, movement, and experience, hinting at rituals designed to evoke awe, reflection, or spiritual transformation. What role did the interplay of light, shadow, and spatial movement play in the lives of the people who walked these corridors? Were these pathways merely practical, or did they serve as stages for rituals that reinforced social cohesion, spiritual authority, or cultural identity? Excavations at Marco Huamachuco have revealed a variety of artifacts, ceramics, ornaments, and tools that testify to a sophisticated, interconnected culture. Yet these findings, while illuminating aspects of daily life, leave many questions unresolved. How was knowledge transmitted, decisions made, and labor coordinated to create such a monumental and cohesive complex? What beliefs imbued the construction of stone terraces and corridors with meaning, compelling countless workers to invest decades of effort in shaping the mountain landscape? And what elements of cultural practice or spiritual insight have been lost, hidden within the corridors and walls, waiting silently for discovery? The environmental context of Marca Huamachuco adds to its enigma. The site sits at an elevation exceeding 3,200 meters, where oxygen is thin and the climate harsh, with cold nights and intense sun during the day. Constructing and maintaining such an ambitious complex under these conditions would have required not only technical skill, but also careful planning of logistics, resources, and human endurance. How did the builders source food, water, and materials for both construction and daily life? Were there communal strategies, religious motivation, or leadership structures that enabled such sustained effort in an environment that would challenge even the most resilient societies? The corridors themselves may also conceal hidden functions. Some passageways lead to dead ends, while others open unexpectedly into expansive terraces or ritual spaces. The ambiguity of purpose, the shifting scales, and the deliberate control of movement suggest a society attuned to the psychological as well as the physical effects of space. Could these corridors have been used to stage ceremonial initiation, to separate the initiated from the uninitiated, or to evoke a sense of mystery and reverence? How did those who navigated these labyrinthine structures experience time, perception, and ritual as they moved through the carefully constructed pathways? Marca Huamachuco's enduring legacy is not only in its stonework, but in the questions it provokes. The site demonstrates a level of social organization, engineering skill, and spiritual vision that challenges our understanding of pre-Columbian highland societies. How did these people, without metal tools or wheeled vehicles, achieve such precise construction? What motivated the creation of corridors and terraces that so deliberately shape human experience? And what knowledge, technical, astronomical, or spiritual, was encoded into the stones, waiting to be interpreted by those with the insight to see beyond the surface? As one stands atop the terraces, looking down into the narrow corridors and across the surrounding highlands, the complexity and ambition of Marca Huamachuco becomes undeniable. The site is not merely a collection of stones. It is a landscape of intention designed to guide movement, perception, and perhaps even consciousness. Every wall, every corridor, every carefully shaped stone communicates a vision of human potential, ingenuity, and devotion. And yet, for all its clarity in construction, Marca Huamachuco remains enigmatic. Its purpose, methods, and meaning continue to elude us, inviting reflection and wonder. What secrets remain hidden within its labyrinthine corridors? What knowledge of society, spirituality, and engineering has been lost to time? And how much more might we learn about the capabilities of prehistoric civilizations by studying the deliberate, enigmatic, and awe-inspiring spaces they left behind? Marca Huamachuco stone corridors, like so many prehistoric megastructures around the world, challenges our assumptions about what human societies could achieve. It reminds us that the past holds mysteries that continue to inspire curiosity, ignite wonder, and provoke questions that may never be fully answered, standing as a testament to the ingenuity, ambition, and vision of civilizations long gone. Far across the Mediterranean, on the sun-baked island of Malta, lie the ruins of Skorba, a site whose stones whisper tales of a distant past. Nestled on a gentle rise overlooking fertile plains, the Skorba temples are among the earliest evidence of monumental construction in the Maltese archipelago. From a distance, the site might appear unassuming, a collection of stone platforms and fragmented walls rising from the earth. Yet as one approaches, the precision of the megalithic construction, the deliberate alignment of stones, and the labyrinthine arrangement of chambers and corridors reveal a civilization whose understanding of architecture, ritual, and landscape far exceeds what one might expect from a Neolithic society. Walking among the surviving structures, it is impossible not to feel the weight of human ingenuity, the deliberate shaping of space to evoke awe, ritual, and perhaps even communion with forces beyond the visible world. Skorba flourished around 4000 BCE to 3600 BCE, making it one of the oldest temple complexes in Malta. The temples predate the more famous megalithic temples of Ggantija, Arkaim, and Menajdra, yet they share a similar architectural language: concentric apses, massive limestone blocks, and carefully constructed altars, suggestive of a culture deeply engaged in ritualized practices. The builders of Skorba worked without metal tools, wheeled transport, or written language, yet they achieved precision and symmetry that challenge modern assumptions about prehistoric capabilities. How did a small island community organize, quarry, and transport massive stone blocks with only rudimentary tools? And what knowledge guided the orientation, proportion, and layout of these early temples? The alignment of the Skorba temples hints at a sophisticated awareness of celestial cycles. Excavations and studies suggest that some of the apses and corridors may have been oriented to mark solstices or equinoxes, capturing sunlight in specific ways during ritual times. Could these alignments have been used to track seasonal changes, agricultural cycles, or spiritual observances? And how did the builders arrive at these astronomical insights without instruments or systematic measurement techniques as we know them today? The possibility that prehistoric Maltese societies embedded knowledge of the heavens into stone invites us to consider the extraordinary intellectual and observational abilities of these early temple builders. Inside the temple complex, the construction reveals meticulous planning. Corridors lead from one apse to another, while carefully leveled stone floors and shaped altars suggest ritual precision. Some chambers are small and intimate, perhaps designed for personal devotion, while others are wide and circular, evoking communal gatherings or ceremonial spectacle. How did the people of Skorba conceive of space, movement, and ritual experience? Did they view the temple as a bridge between the earthly and the divine, a site for negotiating human existence with forces of nature and the cosmos? And how much of this knowledge was encoded orally, passed through generations in ritual practice rather than written text? Archaeological finds at Skorba provide tantalizing glimpses into the lives of its builders. Pottery fragments, tools, and animal bones indicate a settled agrarian society capable of sustaining both construction projects and ritual practice. Yet these artifacts also raise more questions than they answer. Who participated in temple rituals, and how were such complex constructions financed, maintained, and operated? Was the site a center for the surrounding island communities, drawing people from afar, or was it a secluded space reserved for religious elites or specialized practitioners? The sheer scale and sophistication of construction suggest organization and social coordination far beyond what one might expect from a small Neolithic community. The megaliths themselves evoke wonder and speculation. Some stones weigh several tons, carefully shaped and fitted without mortar, forming walls and altars that have survived for over 6 millennia. How were these massive stones quarried, transported, and lifted into precise positions without modern machinery? And beyond the technical challenge, why were such enormous stones necessary? Were they symbolic, reflecting the spiritual significance of the site, or were they chosen for practical reasons, ensuring durability and resilience in a landscape shaped by wind, rain, and the passage of centuries? The organization of space within Skorba suggests a careful orchestration of movement and perception. Narrow corridors and elongated apses guide visitors through the temple, creating sequences of confinement and release, darkness and light, intimate and communal experience. Were these architectural choices intended to evoke emotional and spiritual states, heightening ritual experience and reinforcing social or religious hierarchies? And how much of the temple's design was informed by accumulated knowledge of previous structures, local geology, and celestial observation? Skorba's location itself raises questions about the interplay between landscape and meaning. perched above fertile plains and overlooking arable land. The temples may have functioned as a ceremonial anchor for agricultural cycles, marking planting and harvest, life and death, human labor and natural rhythms. Did the builders understand these cycles empirically, through observation or spiritually, as manifestations of cosmic order? And how did the surrounding environment, rocky hills, open sky, and Mediterranean light, influence the design, orientation, and function of the temples? The symbolic elements of Skorba further deepen its mystery. Carvings on altars and standing stones hint at animals, abstract motifs, and perhaps anthropomorphic figures, suggesting ritual or mythological significance. Were these carvings designed to instruct, to inspire, or to channel spiritual energies? And if so, how did the community interpret and transmit this symbolism over generations, ensuring continuity of meaning without a written record? Despite centuries of study, the Skorba temples continue to defy full understanding. They challenge our assumptions about prehistoric societies, revealing a capacity for monumental construction, astronomical observation, and ritualized experience that seems extraordinary for a community without modern tools or recorded language. What knowledge, practices, and spiritual insights were necessary to conceive and realize such a complex? How did the builders harness collective skill, observation, and imagination to transform raw stone into a site of enduring power and presence? Standing among the ruins today, one is struck by the timelessness of the place. The weathered stones, the remnants of altars, and the corridors leading to apses long empty invite reflection on human ambition, creativity, and devotion. Every axis, every alignment, every massive stone speaks to a society capable of shaping both space and perception, of translating human imagination into enduring architecture. And yet, for all we can observe, much remains hidden, beneath the stones, within the orientations, and in the rituals lost to time. What secrets of belief, astronomy, and social organization lie encoded within Skorba, waiting to be rediscovered? How did a prehistoric people, limited by tools and technology yet unlimited in vision and purpose, achieve such a profound statement of human ingenuity? Skorba temples, like so many prehistoric megastructures around the world, challenge us to reconsider the capabilities of ancient civilizations. They remind us that human ambition, observation, and creativity are not bound by time or technology, and that even in the most distant past, societies possessed knowledge, skill, and vision that continue to astonish and provoke curiosity. What remains hidden in these ancient corridors? What truths about human potential, spirituality, and understanding of the cosmos might we still uncover? The mystery endures, inviting us to look closer, think deeper, and wonder at the ingenuity of those who came before. In the rolling plains of Khuzestan, Iran, amidst the remnants of a once vibrant Elamite civilization, rises a monumental structure whose presence commands both awe and curiosity. The Choga Zanbil Ziggurat, a massive stepped pyramid, dominates the horizon, its mud brick terraces reaching toward the sky like a stairway to the heavens. From a distance, its grandeur is evident, yet as one approaches, the precision of its construction and the intricate planning behind its design become increasingly apparent. Each tier, each angle, each carefully laid brick tells of a society that combined architectural ingenuity with spiritual ambition. How could a civilization, more than 3,200 years ago, erect a structure of such scale and sophistication without the tools, machinery, and technology we consider essential today? And what motivated such an investment of labor, time, and resources in a landscape both harsh and unforgiving? Choga Zanbil was constructed around 1250 BCE under the reign of King Untash-Naparisha, a ruler who sought to honor the Elamite gods and perhaps consolidate power through monumental architecture. The ziggurat originally comprised 5 levels, with a temple dedicated to Inshushinak, the chief deity of Susa, perched atop its summit. The very layout of the complex suggests deliberate planning, not merely for function but for symbolic and religious purposes. The precise orientation, the alignment of the staircases, and the placement of subsidiary temples and altars indicate a society attuned to both spatial harmony and celestial observation. Could the ziggurat have been designed to align with solstices, equinoxes, or specific stars? If so, how was such astronomical knowledge recorded, transmitted, and applied with such precision in a time without written calculation tools as we understand them today? The construction techniques of Choga Zanbil remain a testament to Elamite ingenuity. Thousands of mud bricks were fired to varying degrees, their uniformity ensuring stability across immense vertical and horizontal plains. The ziggurat's terraces were reinforced with layers of bitumen and clay to withstand both erosion and seismic activity, revealing a sophisticated understanding of material science and engineering. How did the Elamites acquire such knowledge? Were these techniques the product of generations of trial and error? Or did they inherit specialized knowledge from a lost tradition, now obscured by time? The meticulous effort required to shape, transport, and assemble these bricks raises questions about the scale of organization and social coordination within the Elamite civilization. Archaeological evidence also points to the ziggurat's broader ceremonial and cultural role. Surrounding the central structure are temples, altars, and ancillary buildings that suggest a complex ritual life. Animal remains, ceremonial pottery, and votive offerings indicate repeated ritual activity, hinting at a society deeply invested in religious practice. Were these rituals intended purely to honor the gods, or did they serve a dual purpose of reinforcing social cohesion, political authority, and cosmic order? How did the ziggurat function as a focal point for the surrounding population, both physically and spiritually? And how much of its design was intended to inspire reverence, obedience, or wonder? The scale of Choga Zanbil also prompts speculation about the labor and logistics required for its construction. Estimates suggest that tens of thousands of workers would have been necessary, coordinating efforts over decades to produce, transport, and assemble the vast quantities of mud, brick, and stone. How was such labor organized? What systems of planning, resource allocation, and communication were employed to sustain construction in an era before modern management practices? And how did the builders maintain consistency in measurements, proportions, and orientation across multiple levels and complex layouts? The ziggurat stands not only as a religious symbol, but also as an enduring testament to human coordination, skill, and vision. The astronomical and symbolic dimensions of Choga Zanbil deepen its mystery. Some researchers have proposed that the ziggurat's tiers correspond to the heavens or the cosmic order, linking earth and sky in ways that would have resonated with the spiritual worldview of the Elamites. Were the staircases designed to represent ascension, the pursuit of divine favor, or the journey of the soul? Did the alignment of the temples and altars reflect not only ritual necessity, but also a sophisticated understanding of celestial cycles? And if so, how did the Elamites achieve such knowledge, and how was it integrated into the design, construction, and ongoing use of the ziggurat? Choga Zanbil also raises questions about the interaction between political authority and religious practice. The ziggurat's sheer prominence in the landscape suggests that it was more than a site of worship. It was a statement of power, a visible manifestation of the king's connection to the divine. How did monumental architecture function to consolidate social and political control? To what extent did the ziggurat's spiritual significance reinforce the legitimacy of the ruling class? And how did ordinary citizens relate to such an imposing structure, both physically navigating its terraces and spiritually interpreting its symbolism? Environmental and geographic considerations further complicate our understanding of Choga Zanbil. The ziggurat was constructed in a region subject to both seasonal flooding and arid conditions, challenges that would have tested the resilience of any structure. Yet the builders incorporated drainage channels, protective layering, and strategic siting to ensure stability. What inspired these engineering solutions? Were they informed by accumulated knowledge of local geology and climate, or did they emerge from trial, observation, and ingenuity under necessity? The ability to create such a durable and imposing structure in challenging terrain speaks to an impressive synthesis of technical skill, environmental understanding, and visionary planning. Even after centuries of study, Choga Zanbil continues to provoke wonder and speculation. Its precise construction, scale, and symbolic complexity defy easy explanation. The combination of architectural mastery, astronomical awareness, and ritual significance suggests a civilization whose intellectual and spiritual reach exceeded what one might expect for the era. What knowledge, both technical and esoteric, did the Elamites possess, and how was it preserved, transmitted, and manifested in stone? How much of this insight has been lost, buried beneath layers of time, climate, and history? Standing among the towering terraces today, one can sense both the ambition and the mystery of Choga Zanbil. The weathered bricks, the remnants of sacred spaces, and the deliberate alignments speak to a civilization capable of extraordinary vision and skill. And yet, for all we can observe, much remains hidden. The motivations, methods, and cosmological understanding that guided its creation. What did the builders hope to convey, and what truths about human ingenuity, social organization, and the pursuit of the divine remain encoded within these ancient stones? The mystery endures, inviting us to ponder the remarkable capabilities of a civilization long vanished, and to wonder what lessons about the intersection of human ambition, spirituality, and knowledge might still be uncovered within the layers of history. Choga Zanbil stands not only as an architectural achievement, but as a symbol of enduring mystery. Its terraces, temples, and alignments continue to challenge assumptions about the limits of ancient societies, reminding us that human vision and ingenuity have, for millennia, reached heights that still inspire awe. How much of the Elamites' understanding of the cosmos, society, and the divine lies hidden in these stones, waiting for discovery? And how many other secrets of prehistoric and ancient civilizations remain just beyond our grasp, their full story lost to time, yet quietly etched in the enduring monuments they left behind?